AskGunQuestions.com is a website that we built back in 2007, and since then, for the last 15 years, people have been able to ask questions of simple to advanced nature, and we attempt to answer them in different ways over the years. Join us now as we start a new series to answer gun questions.
And I'll unmute. Welcome, everybody, to the show. We're broadcasting on a couple of different platforms, so it's all about being live. Feel free to leave some questions in here if you got them. We're experts on everything, so we can answer them 100%. No matter what your question is, we can answer it for you correctly and in such a way that you'll want to run and tell somebody how awesome the answer was. I got Tony joining me from New Jersey. Thanks for jumping in.
Hey, thanks for having me.
I don't like to set the expectations too high, so I just set them nice even level there. So,
yes, I mean, settle down, lock in for an experience that's almost religious. That's good enough.
Uh-huh. Like you're not allowed to record it, but because it's that good, but you don't tell people about it. Anyway, so thanks for jumping in, and we'll see as people start to, well, they don't trickle in. They trickle in on the YouTube side, but they come pouring in on the Instagram side. So this is about answering questions. Why don't you tell us what we missed last week, right? So why don't we catch up with what's going on with diversity shoots and what was going on last week?
All right. So I had a diversity shoot, which was awesome. Thursday at Gun for Hire range. My guys brought in all kinds of firearms. It was cool. We got some new stuff that some people might not have shot yet, like the Smith & Wesson 1895 lever action. One of my guys had that and had some 38, so I brought that. Actually, no, hold on. Let's go back the day before. On Wednesday night, we had the North Jersey Friends of the NRA dinner. So it was great. I was with CNJFO, the Coalition of New Jersey Firearms Owners. We had a table. And when you come in, you get a ticket for actually being there. So everybody gets the ticket. I got one. And we sat around. We had great hors d'oeuvres or appetizers. It was amazing. I'm going to throw a video up tomorrow of the food. I mean, they had like 5 or 6 different stations, everything from meat carving to just various pastas with different sauces. That was a station. They had cold cuts and cheese like a charcuterie board. I think I said that right. That was a table. Had a table just for rice dishes. So we're talking rice pilaf, whatever you call that thing where you have clams in the rice. I don't know what that is. I think it's file. But they had that. They had beef in the rice. They had open bar. So it was a lot of food. And the first drawing of the night was a $500 gift certificate to Aberdeen's Guns and Ammo. Aberdeen Guns and Ammo, obviously their guys have the gun store, but they also support diversity shooters, volunteers. I won the first drawing of the night, which is the $500 gift certificates. So went up, high-fived everybody, took pictures in front of the place, and I said, yeah, bring ammo to tomorrow's event. So that was great. So we had some 38, 5.56, and 9 mil at the event. We had a lot of fun at the diversity shoot. I got to meet the current executive vice president, the guy who took Wayne LaPierre's place in NRA. He was at that event. So I got some time alone with him, I think like 10 minutes. We actually had a conversation and other people came in and, everybody wants to meet him, but at least I got some time with him, which was interesting. I got to meet a couple, more members of the board because I'm friends with people who the NRA board, like Anthony Colangelo, Teresa Einacker, Amanda Suffolk. Amanda wasn't there, but Teresa and Anthony were. And I got to meet, I forgot his freaking name. One of the board members, she's the daughter of Colonel Jeff Cooper. And she was there, and I actually spoke to her. So that was great. The diversity shoot was wonderful. We brought some new people in. Everybody got a chance to pull triggers. What else did we do? Oh, and I got in contact with, Hightower Armory, the people that have that bullpup conversion for a Ruger 1022. that I've been talking about that makes it look like a PS90 with a suppressor. They have a new one out. They have a new chassis out for 1022, and they sent me one, which is awesome. So I can't wait to throw that into a chassis and introduce people to that, because chassis systems that work are just awesome. The bullpup chassis configuration is even better because it makes the firearm shorter in a state like New Jersey, where we can't have short barrel anything without the price going through the roof and having to wait for paperwork. So having something that I can just convert my regular 1022 into something fun, short, quick, it really makes it worth while, and I like to promote it, especially if it works. So, and of course, we had, the podcast, various podcasts. I don't know if you guys caught, uh, what the heck is it? Cocked, locked, cocked, and unfiltered.
Filter.
Yeah, we had Mike Waller on, our last podcast that posted, and it was pretty cool because we're all friends with him. If you don't know who Michael is, he got into two gunfights. One of them immediately after, actually both of them meet after Train and Learn events with Kevin Dixie's Train and Learn, and he came out victorious in both of them. And we had him on, and we were discussing various things from what happened on those two separate occasions to his philosophy on carry. What do you need in a gunfight? And things like that. You're actually talking to someone that's not only been there and done that, but they've been there and done that twice. So I think that's an interesting podcast to go listen to. So check it out if you want.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that one. You guys, that's the topic of it, but like you say, you guys know each other and you've done a bunch of stuff together. So the stories and the stuff that you guys kind of go off onto are interesting, and it was a good chat.
I was worried about that. I mean, I wasn't really worried about that, but it was like, hey, are we so familiar with each other that anybody checking in like wouldn't be able to keep up? Or are we hitting so many inside jokes or things that we think is funny, but because you had to be there?
No, because I hear what you're saying, but you explained the stuff, so it wasn't like you were just like the orange one and then you laughed. You know what I mean? Like you guys were explaining things like that. No, but I guess what I'm saying is like, because you guys have three hosts basically of that show, and then Mike was like the guest, so that's three of asking questions, and I forget the names of those dudes, but the guy who was at the bottom left would ask like the kind of keep it on track or whatever, like ask the questions that I guess you could say like were planned or needed to be said, but then you guys would either ask other questions or maybe because you guys all knew about something, you'd bring something up. So anyway, I think that it added a lot to it because you guys all know each other and you guys have, like I say, had a lot of experience. Because we know each other, but except for like sitting next to each other occasionally, we haven't done too many like this. We've done a couple of adventures when you came out here to Arizona, I guess. But we haven't had like massive adventures like when you guys go to Train and Learn or something where you guys were just hanging out for like an entire weekend, multiple weeks, multiple years in a row, and then whatever else goes on. So because you guys have had some of those, like, that amount of time together, like I'm saying, it just was I guess a more, I don't know what to say, like a more casual, I don't know if it's casual or just more in-depth conversation with them. Because like if I would have them on, I would say, and I'm going to be a little bit different than other people because I don't care about the like number of shots fired so that I would just maybe talk about something else. But my thing is going to be a much more impersonal, right? Like much more familiar, like what's the word, like polite conversation, because I don't know the guy. And like I say, you guys, it was just a good conversation because of the depth or whatever you want to say. I don't know if I'm using the right words, but because of that familiarity, better conversation. I'm sure he's had multiple conversations. I mean, like you say, he's had a fairly unique experience, and it's not like he's an undercover cop. Those, somebody who lives a lifestyle that would you to go, oh, okay, well, I can understand why he's been in multiple situations like that. But no, this was just two completely just, I don't know if I can say random, but they are completely different situations that there's no way that you could have ever planned. It was definitely coincidence or irony or whatever that it happened right after training, because you know what I mean. Like they could have happened at any point in time, just because of what the nature of what happened. But whatever, like there is probably something to be, I think there could be a case to be said that there's something deeper to it, that it happened right after the training. But what the hell, that
Well,
gets bigger picture stuff.
well, I think no, I think you're 100% right. I think one of them was I think his ability to fight his way out of both situations, definitely, that especially the first one, was due to him having trained seriously for those 2 days. The previous 48 hours.
The way that it like would have gone down, like there's a lot of stuff I learned from listening to that, because I've heard of the story before. I don't know if KD had him on or somebody talked to him at some point, 'cause I know I've heard the conversation before, but it was, like I say, a much less familiar. So it was like, this is what happened. Okay, that's the lessons we learned. Thank you for being on. Good to know you. Have a good life. But when you guys were chatting, like I didn't know that Devin was there before. So yeah, exactly. Like having two people that just got done being in that mindset, and then having the kid, and all that go down, to be able to know somebody's got your back. Like it's just, there's no way to, what's the word? Like it's so good for him. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's such, I mean, it sucks that it happened, but at the same time, like of all the things that, if it had to happen, not quite everything went according, like the best way possible, but it went really well for the situation.
Yeah.
And that is, again, you could say, well, it's just super coincidence that it happened right after, but it, I could see somebody making a point that it's not super coincidence that it happened right after, that it's, indicative of some bigger picture, a bigger plan, or whatever you want to call it.
Pretty much. I mean, I can see that. And also, I mean, if you think, because, one of the thought processes of some people that never have trained, or some people that pretty much are anti-firearms training, anti-gun, is that, you're going to become trigger happy if you become trained in firearms, which is silly, because if you've taken good training, no one's encouraging you to get into firefights. But to have one happen after 2 days of training, because the first day is conversation and workshops, but for 2 days of focused training on firearms, shooting and moving, hitting targets. If he didn't do that, his confidence probably would have been a lot lower about hitting the target if he had to. His thought process might not have been immediately fight back. How slow would his draw have been? How slow would his reaction have been?
I mean, except for this kid being there. I mean, that's a fact. If his kid wouldn't have been there, if he hadn't just come back from training, he'd have been hesitant. He would have just complied, been like, here, take the wallet or whatever, get out of here.
Yeah. Oh, no, it wasn't even a robbery. That was the crazy part. The crazy guy just wanted to kill someone.
Well, you know what I mean? You would have tried. I'm just saying, like, you would have been doing something. Why? Because it's not, well, it's because you, anyway, without getting into the whole story or whatever. No, I agree with you that it was, bad day for that guy to be a bad guy.
As Mas Ayub says, he had a glitch he has a glitch in his victim selection process that day.
As he's joining us out there, welcome. And then it'll happen. Well, part of it happened. Wait, did they both happen in Illinois? Yeah. Just in parts of Illinois. And
one was in Chicago and Range.
That was crazy. The circumstances of the second one, and more importantly, like just the circumstances that he was like, yeah, I'm going to carry anyway, without getting all into it, like was just, and then the consequence was ideal. And in a lot of ways, people should listen to that, because I think there's a lot of concern, and it's all like is it Wisetail? Like it's just all, what's the word for it? Like it's not based in fact. It's just sort of the traditional way of thinking is that everything's going to happen in a sequence of events, and every once in a while you hear about like, oh no, I live in Texas, and that in Texas, blah blah blah, you buy supper, and that was in a different situation than Texas, and he was basically home by supper. So that part is worth listening to also, just to understand that there is no way that it's going to happen or the way that it usually happens. Like it's everything's different. Everything is up to the circumstances, right?
Yep. So yeah, listen to the podcast if you can. Only because I don't think, hey, you should listen to our show. But I think there was a lot. I mean, heck, I learned stuff and I knew the story already.
Yeah,
Hell, I've been told the story.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. It was a really good show. And it wasn't like short, like you guys chatted. It was a good pace. I don't know, like you couldn't have planned it. Obviously, you didn't. You guys just start talking.
Mm-mm.
But the length of it and everything, like I say, whoever the dude is that keeps it on track, you know, when you guys would get to a point where you're kind of all like said a funny thing or something, you're all kind of laughing, you know, instead of waiting for there to be an awkward silence, you know, he was good at just picking it up and saying, okay, let's get back, essentially, like, let's get back on track. Let me ask you another question. And then it didn't devolve, but it definitely got familiar again. And again, that's what I like your guys' show. It's a good one for the way you guys, at least so far, the way that you guys know each other and the guests you've had on. It's a, you know, like I know all this stuff. I'm still listening to it. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's a good conversation.
Yeah, we've been blessed. We've been blessed to, and it comes from Train and Learn. Let's not act like it doesn't. Between us, you know, we haven't missed one. Between, you know, the three of us, we've never missed a Train and Learn. That's a lot of people you meet, about 50 to 60 people every year, and pretty much about 30 of them change out. So that's new people. That's a couple hundred new people we meet with different adventures, different backgrounds, and we try to stay in contact with folks. And that gives you a larger circle of friends and acquaintances. And that's what we try to explain to people when they go to Train and Learn. This is what you make out of it. If you do nothing and you look at it as a training class and you don't speak to anyone after you leave, well, you kind of threw away a Labor Day weekend. Or what was it, Labor Day, Memorial Day? I forget which is which.
I think it's
yeah,
Labor Day.
kind of
No,
throw
you're saying though. No, it is Memorial Day. I don't remember.
Memorial Day, yeah, Memorial Day weekend. You just toss that away if you didn't network, get your card out, collaborate. I mean, the whole thing is built for you, regardless of what you do, whether you have a firearms related business, it's advocacy. Um, it's like get out there, meet the people, talk to the people, work with them, do some video content, do some podcast content, and get their name and their social media stuff and share and help each other grow. And when you watch people leave there and just completely drop off, you're like, wow, you know, you could have been anywhere else on Memorial Day weekend.
No,
Like, you didn't.
I can see that though, because again, you putting it in the compare. What's the word? Like putting it on the chart with everybody else, or in a scale with everything else. Got the off thing, the Ambassador Academy, which is thousands of dollars. Got the girls in Colorado, which you have to be a girl, and even if you are a girl and you can go to it, you got to be able to get into it because it's, even though there's like growing to 1,000 ladies a year now, it's first come first serve, and they ask the ladies that have already been there to go back first. So you have to get in on that, and then even if you do, it's a different thing because it's like drinking from a fire hose. It seems like a weekend's worth of classes every couple of hours. It's like going to a high school of gun stuff for a weekend, and then you've got going to, I don't know, like Masada or something like that, and you know, one instructor can often be valuable, but it's one point of view and one perspective on things. And then you got like AmCon, which, you know, whatever, it's worthless. And then you got other things. Is there anything else? I don't think there's anything else. If there's anything else, it's brand new and tiny. So anyway, when you put it in and all that stuff, sure, some of those things are less expensive, but what Katie charges, which is I think still less than $400, right, for the weekend, is nothing. Like that's basically paying for food and whatever. I mean, he's not making any money on that. And if he is, it's like paying, you know, it's covering taxes or something. He's not making money on that. So anyway, all I'm getting at is if you're going to do anything, then that's the thing to do, because it will give you a pretty awesome taste of all the stuff that you're going to encounter in the industry. And if you find out it's not for you, it only costs you $400 in that weekend to find out, as opposed to what is SHOT Show going to cost you? Like thousands of dollars just for lodging and travel, and then you got to go fight with 60,000 people who are there to compete with the other 2,000 media that are there, and that's a big bowl to jump in. So I don't want to dissuade people from doing it, but it's just that's the kind of different scale we're talking. So hopefully, the people that go to Train and Learn and don't ever show up again, it's not because they had a problem or something, but it's because they figured out, oh, this ain't for me. And if it's somebody who was a scammer and they went there thinking, oh, this is going to be my free ride to Scam Town, and they figured out, oh no, these people are too aware, I can't just pull the wool over their eyes, and they get out of Dodge and they go to the swimming pools or motorcycles or something. Awesome, that'd be great if it's getting rid of people that thought there was an easy escalator ride to the top or something. And it's not that it's in your dues or nothing. It's just that it's realistic, right? Like, here's what you can do, but you got to do it. And, here's her map, but get walking. And some people can't handle that. They weren't expecting that. They were expecting, here's the map in the Uber.
Yeah. Oh, believe me, some of them thought they were going to be, I guess, some kind of secret code. And it's like, yeah, it's called work and consistency. Like,
there over and over. And when people need you, be there. And then, again, when people need you, when other people need you, be there, right? And then be there, show up, be there. And then whenever if you need something, then maybe somebody's there for you. That takes quite a bit. But
yeah, I mean, I got a phone call out of the
blue.
blue.
I'm sure there are industries, though, that are large enough and that are anonymous enough that, somebody can come in, figure out the right words to say, and then make their money, make some money on the side. Nobody cares. Nobody's really complaining. People just take their lumps and move on if they get a bad ride. Like a restaurant or something, what are you going to do? You got to take it on forever if you had a bad lunch? No, you're just never going to go back to that restaurant. But you try to do that in a small town and it ain't going to fly. Everybody knows there's 4 restaurants in that town. So it's kind of like the gun community. Like, you could try to come in here and be a fly-by-night, but you can literally only do that a couple of times. Well, I shouldn't say that. We have a couple of fly-by-nighters or whatever you want. I don't know if that's the right word, but, people that are scammers coming in and hanging out a little bit. But they are really good scammers and know how to scam to, just enough people so that they don't overlap. And then they can go scam on some other people and then not overlap and then scam on some new, they're taking nibbles and not big enough bite to offend too many people at once. But that's a whole other topic, I guess.
Yeah, that's a whole nother world.
Anyway, you were talking about the podcast and the train and we were talking about trailer, but the diversity shoots. There was something else that was going on. Oh, the Rod of Iron thing. I thought you were going to, but somebody was telling me that it wasn't as good, or it hasn't been as good. How long have you gone last year? Have you been going enough to know if it's on what kind of trajectory it's on?
No, I haven't been to any of them. And because I have friends in the industry and they're posting stuff and they're like, Tony, you really need to go to the Rod of Iron. You need to go to the Rod of Iron. And I was like, hey, I'm going. Here's my press stuff, because I was going as media. They sent me the press releases. They sent me who was going to be there, and I look really forward to it. But when my vehicle went down with a new trans, and my friend gave me his mom's used car that had been sitting a while, it's a 2010. It's been sitting a while and it had some problems. Well, for the last 3 weeks, they've been problems. That they sidelined the car a little bit, and I didn't have faith in it could make it all the way out to the Rod of Iron, which is, I think, about 5 hours from my home. I didn't want to fly there because that's ridiculous and the cost gets ridiculous. But so I put it on hold and I worked on the car. So we did some work last weekend, with the ignition system. What do you call that? Spark plug coils, that kind of thing. Then I work with the fuel and fuel additives. So it's more dependable now, but I'm talking about it would turn off on its own in traffic. So now it hasn't done that. It only did that once. And I'm just keeping an eye on it. And I didn't want to travel too far from home. So it sucks that I missed it. But the downside was if it would have gone down, I'd have been hundreds of miles from home instead of in the same town. So I'll get there hopefully next year.
I don't know. I'm about halfway. I mean, it's way too far for me to travel to it. If I was on that side of the country anywhere near this time of year, I would definitely go to it. I'm curious to see what it's all about. To me, it seems
Yeah.
like it's going to normalize guns to some extent, to some people. But I know they have like religion in there, and I know they have patriotism in there. And I'm learning.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew that the American flag bothers people. I learned that, I don't
Yeah.
know, a long time ago, I guess. But now in the gun community, like these quote unquote new gun owners, and that's their fault. Like nobody told them not to be gun owners. They just have decided to be gun owners recently. But the new gun owners, some of them don't like see American flags, right? I learned about that, I don't know, like say in the last number of years. But I'm just learning that. Did you see Professor Imane's stuff recently by any chance?
No, I haven't. Why?
Because he's on Substack a lot. Like I've been reading Substack because Substack is where I put my blog basically, and that's where I write everything now is over on Substack. Whenever it's something that's going to be written, I put it on Substack and then point to it everywhere else instead of putting it on a newsletter or whatever I used to do. So anyway, because I did that change, I've been looking at the other people using it, and Professor Imani is one of them, and he's been posting, I don't know, like kind of, things that he ponderings, I guess, just thoughts that he's had, because he's in a unique position in the world, and it's got to be bugging him the same way. I'm not in a unique position. I'm just not Republican and I'm not Democrat, so I don't fear Trump and I don't love Trump. Like Trump bothers me, and Trump, I'm all about some things he does, right? I'm totally in the middle, and I don't really care. Like I do not care. I like that every 4 years we have a new president, and I just lived through 4 years of one I didn't like, and now I'm living through 4 years of one that is not Kamala Harris. So that's where I'm living. So people can't handle that, right? And they don't like me about that for some reasons. But anyway, he's living in a different world because of where he's at, and he has an understanding of guns and gun owners now that he can't hate us, right? He just can't. He knows us. So I understand where he's at. I don't understand, obviously, but I mean, I can understand his position, being in the position he's in. So anyway, he's been writing a bunch, and one of the things that I guess is a thing with, I'm just going to generalize it because I can't remember exactly what he said, but with, let's say, what did he, I don't want to say school teachers because he's like a professor, whatever you call academics, I guess, professors and shit at college level, like they don't want to admit to being a patriot. They don't like patriotism and all that. And I just thought, and I think he wrote something about like how either he wrote about that or it was part of it. And I commented something like, it's sad that, so many people would use something like that, this would be their thing to stand on. Like, oh, we can't be patriots because other people who are patriots, we don't like. So therefore, is it throw baby out with the bathwater, like throw the whole country away? But at the same time, they might like communism or some other fucking thing anyway. And they were never going to like America anyway. Maybe they hate America. The thing they like about America is that they can voice an opinion to take it apart because you can. Like that's the nice part about something that's built. You can unbuild it. And that's the part that I like about it. But beyond that, they want everybody to share rich people's money, usually, right? So anyway, so that was just interesting to me that there's a lot. Where we get off on this one, that I guess I was getting to that there's some people that just hate patriotism or whatever, and it's like weird because it's not like they hate patriotism because I don't know. They probably hate patriotism for lots of reasons. I guess I was going to say because people are patriots, but they probably do hate the idea that a bunch of people would, you know what I mean? Like just like the flag because I don't know. I'm going to be generous and say maybe they think it's like the Hitler thing, like all those Nazis, all the Germans loving the Nazi stuff. But I think that's a fetch. I don't know. I think they just, I don't know. I don't want to assume what they know or what they think.
I don't know because I don't know what these people see patriotism as, because really I don't even want to have a conversation with them because I know what I've done and what I do and how I view stuff. And I seem anytime I had it, and this is not, let's not act like I don't have conversations with people all along the political spectrum. I find they look at someone like myself who felt that if I'm going to be part of America, I should be part of defending America. And that I don't feel anyone else should do that. I don't think that should be a requirement to be a citizen, but that's the route I took. And they were like, oh, you couldn't find it's always negative. Like you couldn't find a real job. Did you have a choice between this and prison? It's
Right.
always some looking down your nose at them. And I'm like, well, what have you done to make America better or your community better? Like, what have you given back whatsoever besides being someone here that's consuming? And then it's a thought process. They feel they don't have to give back to their community or where they're from. They think their mere existence, these are things they're owed. And it's just a natural way that they should have them. And it's not perfect. And it should be. And if just more people were more, I don't know, like if the government took care of them more, and you're looking at them like, not the government's job to take care of you. And it's horrible at taking care of people. When the government goes, no one, what do you call it? No one thrives under the government giving them things. There's no one winning. You know what I mean? Like, woohoo, I got this welfare going, this EBT card, baby. I'm eating steaks. I'm like, no, there's a few people that are abusing the system, but it's not designed for you to be winning when you're on public assistance or when the government is giving you stuff. Winning is when you're achieving it on your own, in my opinion. Winning is, being able to sell stuff to the best of your ability, being able to buy stuff, trade, whatever, having your own diversity shoot and doing that. And wherever it goes, it goes. And it's like, yeah, no, that's my thing. I feel I've done something to give you the freedoms to do what you want. That's why I'm not poo-pooing them and saying they're bad people. No, I joined so you can have that opinion. We don't have to have the same one. Cool. But I'm not going to allow you to destroy my country, like by bombing stuff, but voting differently. Vote differently, bro. Your vote and my vote are the same. That's also why I volunteer and I try to make a difference on another level and educate people so they vote for the interest of freedom by having an education and being able to open up their minds instead of, well, I believe this. That's why the Second Amendment is important. That's why you should vote for that. And that Venn diagram of being able to protect yourself and then self-sufficiency and then doing stuff, it leads you away from communism and the collective. I'm just saying.
Yeah, and I guess that concept isn't either doesn't bother them or they don't fear that because we're being too dramatic about it. Like they know that it's not going to go that far, so therefore they can discount what we're saying because we, use too drastic an example or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't want to. I guess I was going to take it into a whole thing, but Gord's asked a gun question. I'll take that as a cue.
Sure.
So gun question: why is the 410 a caliber when the rest are gauges? I used to know the number and name of that. You teach more than I do. You got that on the top of your head?
Oh, what gauge is 410?
No. Why is it a caliber instead of all the other ones are gauges?
Gauge is an old school one. Gauge is an old European thing, right? That's what that is based on. And they just named it that way. But I think when you got down to 410, I tell you right now, I don't know because I remember. Where's my NRA shotgun? Oh, it's in the moving thing. But yeah, that was part of the shotgun class. I don't think they answered it, but they just said that 410 was a caliber and the others are a gauge, and then they talked about the gauge and how you measure it. You know what I mean? What 12 gauge was, what 10 gauge was, 16 gauge, and they explained it. But I apologize. But yeah, there's a difference. Hold on. Oh, and the rod of steel is going on right now.
I used to know what it was. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. The rod of steel. I have the schedule for rod of steel. For what they're doing, like right now. They got okay, 4 o'clock. Right now the Freedom Concert is going on. With Billy Mira. And then coming up is Skylar Adusing, Illinois congressional candidate, and she's accepting the Charlie Kirk Champion for Freedom Award from Turning Point USA. So that's what's going on right now over at the Rod of Steel or the Freedom Fest. They also have shooting ranges with specialty guns from CAR, Freedom Group, shooting targets, machine gun shoots, educational stuff with youth activities, including the airsoft competition, axe throwing, and a tactical trainer simulator. The media tent, where I'd be, they have Mark Walters from American Armed Radio. The Second Amendment show with Jim Robinson, Adam Berg, the American Warrior Radio, and Amanda Suffolk from Eye on the Target. Should have shot Amanda a freaking thing, but she's busy right now. I realized I didn't let her know I wasn't coming because I'm sure she's one of the reasons I got on the list. She just probably transferred everybody that was at NRA and sent their names to Car Arms. Let me see. Did you pull up anything on that?
No, but that reminded me why we were even talking about the whole patriotism and everything, because I was going to say the Rod of Iron, I think it does a good job of normalizing, because it does a bunch of stuff, right? It brings together like religious folks who just make like a festival with, that has religion included. I haven't been to it, so I don't know, but it sounds like from people that have gone, that have described it, that it's like present, but it's not like mandatory or like, that it's not forced on anybody. So, but the fact that since a lot of things completely remove religion, I suspect that is polarizing, right? At the same time, some people love it, some people hate it, and that's what it is. But they've made the decision to do it, which is unique, and I give them credit for it, because honestly, fuck you. If you can't handle what other people are doing, then it's also on you. Like, people are allowed to do whatever they want, and as long as it's not hurting anybody, then they can do it. If you have a objection to it, don't walk over there, as long as they're not in your face, right? Same thing with patriotism. And I know that they're super patriot or whatever. I'm using that word as like people that put American flags everywhere. Me personally, I don't like it. Like you said, like we got our own reasons for in the 80s and in the 90s, even in a non-war, in a world that was not at war, when people joined, there was a reason for that. When you join a non-draft military or whatever it's called. So, people have a reason to join, and so you have you don't have to have it being in the military. You can just have a relationship with your country, and the flag represents your country, and you're allowed to have a deep relationship with that country. We have a country that fosters that, and I don't have a problem with people displaying that any way they want. Me personally, I think it's disrespectful to those who have fallen to be goofy with the flag and just be unaware of some of the discipline that shows respect, because we do have a code of respect for it. And it's not that it's a law, it's just like, if you care, here's the way you can respect the flag. And if you go around not respecting it, you've basically said, I don't care, I'm going to do what I want. And it's a free country, so wrap yourself in the flag, throw it on the ground, like wrap your fucking products in it, I don't care, write stuff on it. I personally don't like it, and that's the kind of stuff that happens with these patriot types that like these kind of things. They'll wear the flag, they'll have it flying all over the place. And again, it's a little gaudy to me, but that's all I think of it as, is like gaudy. But there's people that have friends to that, and I'm like, all right, that's fine. But again, that's one of the things about Rod of Iron. And then what was the third thing? That they have guns. And like I say, that's kind of the point of it, because it's a gun thing. But again, I think that if someone showed up because they wanted to be at a place that had religion, or they wanted to show up to be at a place that had patriotism, and they could let their patriotism fly or their religion fly, and there was guns there, awesome. That's normalizing guns to people who probably aren't afraid of guns, or at least are aware of guns, but they might not be gun people, and that's awesome. But then it's going to also be whatever, polarizing. But guess what? Somebody who is afraid of being in an event with religion or with a flag, they're not going to a gun thing, unless it's like your gun thing, you know what I mean, where you completely remove all that shit. So anyway, I give them credit, and I really wanted to see it, and I hope that it keeps going forever. What I also like about it, there's New York, he's the one I've been talking about. But what I really like about it is just capitalism. Like, this isn't NRA, who has a shit ton of money and it took over an event that was failing, or has been doing their yearly event forever, because NRA kind of has 2 events each year now, or the Second Amendment Foundation, which has a bunch of money for an event each year, which is fine. But you know what I mean? This is a company that's just spending their own money on guns, religion, and patriotism, and music and fireworks and all the fun and all the picnic type of thing to it. I fucking like, bravo. That's awesome. I wish every company had the huevos to do that. Maybe not all that shit, but whatever their things are. If their thing is cheese because they're from Wisconsin, like, have a cheese festival with guns. Let's do it.
Yeah. Well, the annoying thing about a lot of gun companies is they aren't strong Second Amendment advocates. Just because they sell the tool doesn't mean they're strong 2A advocates. And there is zero doubt where Car Arms stands on the Second Amendment. And hell, you can have a 30-second conversation with Justin Moon, and he'll set you straight on that one. Hey, before we get too far away from this 410 thing, this is
Sure.
exactly what I thought and stumbled across. A 410 is a caliber, not a gauge, because the name refers to the actual 410-inch diameter of the bore, following naming conventions of rifle and pistol calibers. In contrast, shotguns are designed designated by gauge, and this is what I told you about the old English thing. The measurement of how many same diameter lead balls equal 1 pound, e.g., a 12 gauge requires 12 balls to make a pound. If a 410 would be a gauge, it would be in a practically large number like 67 and 68 gauge. So that's what it was. I couldn't remember the pound thing, but yeah, I knew it was something to do with that. So it's just the diameter. That's the only one measured by diameter. Nobody wants to say they have a 68 gauge. I mean, it's
That's
just
it.
ridiculous at that point.
See, I don't even know. Like, so you say 410, it's like a bigger number, so it doesn't even make sense. I'm
Yeah,
wondering.
410
That's
is
what I'm reading
diameter.
the
Yeah.
same thing. I'm reading the same thing, but it's stating it because it's like because it would have been a 67 gauge, but I think it might have been
Hmm.
when 410 was developed too. Like, because I don't remember,
Yeah.
but I remember they did define it as something like what you just read there, but I guess the but would be like, you know how like if Remington comes along and they don't want to call it the 44 or the 40 Smith and Wesson, you know what I mean? Like they want to call it
Yep.
40 something, 40 millimeter.
Hmm.
I think it might have been something like that where somebody was like, you know what, it's a 410, 45 or something, and you know because it is the same as 45. And I'm wondering if it wasn't like because that Gamble's game gun getter from that was one of the
What?
exceptions to the NFA was like something like, and I'm just wondering if it wasn't like that, like if they didn't invent the caliber or I guess the gauge because it's the same as 45 because 45 is old as shit. Like 45's been around forever. The 45 Colt, I mean, and I'm just wondering if it wasn't like, hey, we can make 45 Colt into a shotgun, and yeah, like you say, it would be 67 gauge, and that would sound stupid. So let's call it 410. And I wonder if it isn't marketing. I guess that's what I'm getting at.
Who knows? I mean, hey, one of the things you can use when you're using that as example is 30-30. 30-30 is really a Winchester center fire.
Yeah,
That was
30
it.
Winchester CF or whatever, WCM.
Hmm.
Or, yeah,
Yeah, but the other companies didn't want to put a Winchester on the side of their freaking rifle. Just like Smith and Wesson and Colt with the Colt 45 and the Smith and Wesson 45.
New York Outcast saying the religion part is available if interested, but nobody forces anything on you. It's not an issue. I mean, I know people that if they see a Bible, they will get offended and freak out. And I'm not using them as like, I'm just using them as a barometer. Like, you know, there's folks that will not go to the event because of that. And I don't care.
Mhm.
I mean, it's their thing. They don't have to. I just give them credit for actually doing it because we live in a world where that's kind of stuff's been erased from everything. And I don't know if that's better or not. I just think it's never good to have only one way of doing it. I'm not saying we have to have religion at everything we do, but you know what I mean? I don't think we have to be afraid of religion ever. Or people that want to exercise the religion, because honestly, it's not like saying religion is like saying the military. Like, come on, like there's a lot of stuff going on there. You're including a lot of good and a lot of bad by just saying it one word. We got more gun ones though. Well, let's see this. Do you have a 410? Are you interested in 410?
Not at all. I don't have a 410. Am I interested in 410? No, not me personally, but if other people want to check something out, I find it something like for a defensive firearm, for someone that's never going to train, never going to practice, never going to learn to control recoil. It can't be a horrible thing because it's still effective for what it is within the home self-defense distances, in my opinion.
I mean, my
It's
opinion will
still a
probably
viable
change.
thing.
I don't like 410 that much because of its physical characteristics. It's such a stupid long cartridge
Hmm.
or gauge or what would it be called? I guess technically a shell that it's not quite fragile, but it is kind of fragile. It's more fragile than a 20 gauge. So what my suggestion is going to probably be at this stage in my life, it'd say if you're thinking around with a 410, just get a 20. Because if you're talking a pump, it's too long. Like, why do you want to pump all that when you could pump a shorter thing? And again, I guess, well, in a revolving cylinder, I've never liked the Judge because of the 410 part. Like, just make it a 45 Colt and make it cool looking instead of trying to put 410 in there, which are useless, and you make them less effective by putting them through a revolver anyway, and then satisfy a request nobody ever had. Nobody ever asked for a 410 revolver. Taurus just did it and sold them because people buy anything, and then they kept doing it. But I don't think anyway, I think the 410 is a answer to something that hunters probably cared about, like for rabbits or something, right? But maybe some kind of birds, or like maybe people that were really good at shotgun wanted to have a better challenge, so they said, give me less pellets, I'll do it with less pellets. And I could see it there, but 20 gauge addresses everything. I'm trying to think if there's a 410 I really like. I don't think so, unless you count some of the double guns, a 410 and 30-30 or something in the same break open, or something like a survival gun.
Oh, like a drilling? Oh.
I don't even know. Those would be neat, but those wouldn't be in that caliber, right? They'd be in, well, they might actually be in 410, but I would think in there probably like 12 gauge and something. But yeah, Wood says, Gwen question, what are the differences between the 32 calibers? I think my general answer would be just time, because the 32s are all those guns that were being developed with as the revolvers got, I guess, bigger than 22s. As cartridges, as bullets got bigger than 22, and I don't know how long the 32s lasted. They're all pretty old.
Well, you have 32 Smith, 32 long, 32 H&R, and then 32 H&R Magnum. Oh, excuse me. I think I have them. And the 327 Magnum. That's what I was talking about. So you have all of them, and it just got longer over the years with more gunpowder behind it.
We don't even have to do this job anymore. Look at this. I'm going to share my screen as soon as I can. Let's see if I got a bunch of. I just asked the robot though, and look at the answer it gave me. I hope I didn't close anything important there. I just closed a bunch of stuff on my screen like a spaz so I could get this thing open. Okay, so I don't need to do that yet. So I said 32 caliber history is all I said, and this is what it gave us. The 32 is diverse. The versions like the whatever, and then it goes. Early revolvers started with the 32 Smith & Wesson, which was a black powder cartridge designed as a lightweight close range round. So think of 1878. I always use 1850 as like when we first started putting bullets in revolvers. Like, so right before that it was all black powder revolvers. So that was 20 years after we first put a bullet in a revolver. We start going to 32. And then it doesn't say, but a few years later, they figure out, 32, but what if he's wearing a coat? And all the debates, like, what do you need more stopping power? So then there's 32 long Colt. And then there was quite a few of them. I think there's like 6 of those 32s. I bet you if I asked it, it would give me even more data about that. And you know who it's reading. It's reading at one guy's website, probably. But then it says, then you get into the 32 ACP starting in 1899, which again is still only 50 years after the first cartridge revolvers. But that's when Browning starts building all of the pocket guns. And then the 32s become, the 32 ACP. So anyway, I just thought that was cool. And then I click on deeper and it'll give me even more details on that. But they're my bane because I've got a couple of bullet collections that were kind of like paper cups in a shoebox. So I'm going through them and it's like 32 after 32 after 32. And I'm thinking, look at all these 32s I have. But in reality, I have each one of them is like a different kind of 32. But because there's no head stamps back in the olden days, like good luck. I'm not an old guy, so I don't know the differences, but you know what I mean? Like there's differences between them. And that's why this guy had them all in his collection. So I have this cup that I know is like 10 different old 32s from back in the day, but I'd have to like do research or something and take pictures and have people know what to look for. But sometimes it can be little stuff like the slight difference in the length of the case. But, sometimes companies just change the size of the case too. So, without knowing, you don't know, right? It's 32s are one of those things where it's, for me as a, I don't know, I'm a kind of an ammo collector. That's too much stuff that I'd have to learn. So for me, it's just like a void or like a quicksand part of my collection. Like I just know I have them and I don't know what to do with them.
Yeah, I had to look it up because it was bothering me. I thought I actually nailed it right. 32 Smith & Wesson Long, 32 Smith & Wesson, 32 H&R Magnum, and 32 Federal Magnum. Those are the ones just for revolvers. Try to get your hand around that. That's just the revolver ones.
And that's just the ones that survived. That's the ones that still have a modern, like there somebody makes bullets in them. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, and that's just
before there was like Smith and Wesson and Ruger and Colt, period. Like there was a time when, you know, every city had their own, well, maybe not every city, but, you know, cities had their own little revolver companies. People that built bicycle shops made revolvers and stuff when they were first invented. And then the people that knew how to do it and did it well are still around. But there's all those companies. Think of all those little Chicago guns. I call them our little poker guns, I guess we call them. The little, like the Chicago gun, I guess, you know, that little circle gun with the barrel pointed out. All of those use like 25s and 32s, and pretty much that's it. And again, they would make like the 32 super short to fit in that Chicago gun or something like that. And then somebody would come out with a revolver that had 12 cylinders or 12, one cylinder with 12 chambers in it. So they'd come out with some, you know what I mean? Like they'd come out with a new cartridge for that. And that company would last for 2 or 3 years and nobody needs that cartridge ever again. And a lot of them are taking a cartridge, cutting it off, right? Like, oh, let's take this or take a rifle cartridge and cut it in half. And now we're making that a 38. I guess that's a 38. 38s are a whole nother one, but 32s were that, I think that era when we first figured out we could make bullets. And then we're like, okay, bullets, but the first bullet was a 22 short. So, you know, as soon as they figured out bullets were cool, they started making it bigger, but they didn't go straight to 44 Magnum. That wasn't until like the 50s, right? 100 years later. So they went up to these little increments, 32, 38, then into the 40s. And then when the 40s happened, the world wars ended. So they figured out, okay, we got the best calibers now.
Yeah, 44 didn't come out. 44 Magnum didn't come out until 55. 357 Magnum came out in 35. The 44 Magnum came out in 55.
No, I'm talking out my ass. It's not like I sit around reading ammo books or nothing. I'm trying to remember from hanging. Oh, I think it just started raining. I'm trying to remember from like hanging out at the gun shop, listening to the old guys who do know what they're talking about. And they rarely talked about ammo just because they'd always be talking about guns at the gun shop, really. But it would be interesting to have somebody on who really knows what they're talking about or knows more completely the scene, and then ask them some of these questions because they, off the top of their head, you know way more about this than we are coming up with.
Mm-hmm. And since I don't exclusively teach, you know, classes anymore, like I won't get this question. You know what I mean?
Right. To have it
like I won't. Yeah.
And I think that would come up often, actually, in the CCW class, because nowadays people are new gun owners. They are recommended, they go online, however they decide what gun to buy, or they don't decide, but they go to the store and they buy a modern gun, right? They're either sent there to buy one, they figured out which one to buy, they go there to buy it, or they go to the store and figure out what to buy. But rarely are they getting recommended, like, here, buy this 1925 revolver that barely works and it's got obscure 32 caliber ammo that you can't buy. You know what I mean? Like, those are only collectors that are buying those. But back in the day when the CCW first started, and there was Glock, and there was probably this, like the cop guns, like the whatever those were, and maybe a small revolver, but you know, there wasn't a lot of options for concealed carry. People brought their little ass old 32s and 38s to CCW classes all the time. Mm-hmm. And that's what they were going to be carrying because it was grandpa's gun or what their grandma carried. And that's the dirty little secret that no one will, well, one, no one knows about, but two, people that do know about it are our grandparents and they won't admit it. But there was millions and millions of pocket guns made since 1934. And somebody bought those, and it wasn't all gangsters. It wasn't all criminals. That was all our grandparents. Every one of our grandparents was carrying around guns. They just don't want to talk about it. And they carried around little tiny 32s and 25s and shit like that.
Well, they're never going to talk about it because Well, one, the cousin, uncle, nephew, somebody took grandma's gun. Like it didn't get past, it disappeared when the
Right.
funeral was
Some
happening.
some uncle has
Or,
it. Exactly.
mhm. And then you throw on top of it, they didn't talk about it.
No, and not with
They
their
had this thing.
grandkids. Never with their grandkids. If they did talk about it, it was with each other. Like, oh, I all I had to do was pull it out, and that kid will never come back again. He'll know not to come to our neighborhood, or like, you know what I mean. He won't rob a lady coming out of that little lady store, whatever they call the laundry. Well, not a laundry, not what do they call the hair salon? That's where I would figure the bad guys were hanging out at the hair salon.
Hmm.
Little ladies to come out, probably half the time putting their money away from paying and stuff, and then third time a little old lady pulls out a revolver on him, like, I'm gonna go hang out somewhere else and try to rob people.
Hmm. Because I know my mom had the 25, the Beretta 25, ACP. What else? Who else had something? Well, my other aunt, my uncle had all the guns. I have no idea what my aunt carried, but I'd leave her alone because they knew that was they knew her husband. You're not going to mess with her and live long enough to tell about it. Plus my 8 cousins, so it would just be bad. Um, what did my other aunt carry? I know she had something, but it disappeared after she passed away. So yeah, I mean, when those people had guns, they were the ones in the sock drawer. If they weren't overt, at least where I'm from, they had the sock drawer gun, that small little gun that somebody slip in their pocket, and then they had the hunting shotgun because we lived in Virginia, in a part of Virginia where you didn't really hunt with rifles. So people had 22s and 12 gauges and whatever pistol they chose to have because it is regional also.
That's
We didn't
100%
have a lot of
true. Yeah. I
them.
grew up in a city or in the suburbs of a city, so yeah, definitely would have been different if I had grown up somewhere where you'd, like you say, we'd be hunting or whatever. But still, when I can tell you pretty much over the country, because there just wasn't no guns. When we're talking about the beginning of CCW spreading around in like whatever that would have been, like 2009, 10, 11, 12, I guess there was a little bit of a gap there. And then like 13, 15. Um, Again, there was some, I don't want to say there was none, but it was like very few options for new guns, and they were still kind of expensive. So I'm just guessing. Well, I just know from going to classes that a lot of people were just bringing, again, those guns that were coming out of the closets and out of the drawers. Especially if you're just going to class, you might decide after class, like, oh, I don't want to carry around this really old clunker. So I just went around making sure I'm not leaking. We had a little bit of a rain. We have some sort of
Mm.
storm happening in the Pacific. We've been told we're going to see record-breaking rain here. I'm going to go look
Yeah,
at
we
the.
got a hurricane. We got a hurricane about to hit, so we got a lot of rain right now. um, Also, depends on what your back in the day is. Before the 1960, was it 65 gun control act, when they made it harder to get import less expensive pistols, you had a lot of 32 revolvers and 32 semi-automatics and 25 ACP coming in from Europe, inexpensive ones. And that's what a lot of people bought because there wasn't that gun culture that you have today. It was just you went down to the store, maybe even not even a gun store, it might be the hardware store. And they had a display of freaking Ron pistol, ROHM from Germany, just revolvers there in 22 and 32. And you pick one up, no big deal. Take a gallon of paint at 32 over there and 2 boxes of shells, because that's what pretty much everybody called it. And they go and they plink and they shoot 10 cans, yes, 10, They'd shoot tin cans with it and be able to hit it, and then they'll stick it in the sock drawer, and that's their protection. I mean, my uncle was one of the few dudes that I knew that had Colt and Smith revolvers. And, my other uncle had things like, the Brownie, Colt Woodsman, and did he have Glenfield? I don't know if he had Marlin or Glenfield 22s that he worked on and give it such a light trigger that it can almost fire full automatic. There are different times in gun culture, and I think not many gun owners even think about that, much less new gun owners. Think about what you have today.
No,
and your thought
that's not their
process now
fault, though.
isn't what it used to be.
It's not their fault. There's no culture anymore. But you're right. They don't go. They may go to the range because they don't have an option. Like unless you live out here and you can just go out in the desert or whatever. And still, people probably still go to the range. But ranges are different than they used to be. I don't know if they're as communal as they used to be. Because back in the day, it was like, oh, you're at a range, you're automatically cool because you're a gun person. There's only like 10 of us in the whole town, right? Like you're automatically cool unless you shot 9mm and then you were ostracized. But right, like nowadays, going to the range is probably a lot more like going bowling or something. Like I don't know if it's just a big, not necessarily a giant party. Like you could go to the range and still be isolated. You know what I mean? Like paying attention only to your own stuff and whatever. There's not necessarily any rules against people hanging out at the range, but I don't think it's, at least I don't know any ranges in Tuesday. Well, I shouldn't say that. I don't want to say I haven't been to a range in a while, and it might be different now. So I want to give them the opportunity to be different, but you know what I mean? It's not like a social gathering place. Typically it's more of a, we're here to provide a service, do your thing. And then see ya. Like, but we're not going to bother you. You do your thing. It's not like, hey, come on in and share, you know what I mean? Or come on in. And if you want, turn this light on and it means I want to see your guns and you can shoot my gun. So how hard would that be to actually literally do that at the range? Like if you turn this light on, it means like, come look at my guns. I got something, maybe I got a question about my gun or something. Because seriously, that would be a super easy thing to do. But now at the outdoor range, the county range, totally different, right? Like that's what I'm saying. Like back in you go to the county range on a Thursday when I used to volunteer. And that's why I volunteered on a Thursday, because volunteering on a Saturday or Sunday was like work. Like you're there to be an employee for free. Some people dug it because they liked it, but no, I'd go on like a Thursday, and the only people that were there were your hardcore. Like there was a guy that was building rounds for the Coast Guard, so that was just neat to watch him develop rounds for the Coast Guard, and he would practice with them or whatever. And then like an old guy that would shoot some kind of match would come out and practice, but like religiously, like every Thursday or whatever. So, we knew those guys. I should say one guy. It was probably about 3 or 4 guys that would do that, but one guy always. And then, the people that had the day off at work or just bought a gun, it would be such a random, but a very few type of people. But, of this very small type of people, like just them, that would be the only other people that show up. Otherwise, we could shoot if we wanted. But that was the reason I went there, is because I knew that it was mostly going to be people that were new and we're looking to hang out and ask questions, because that's why they went there on a Thursday and not a Saturday, or people that didn't need me to do nothing. And most of the time when they don't need you to do nothing, they'll still bullshit with you. Like, you know what I mean? So you're not bothering them or harassing them or something. So, when the guy was developing Coast Guard rounds, and I'd be like, hey, what's the round to this week? And he'd say something, and then I'd walk away. It wasn't like I'd sit there for half an hour bugging him. So I got to learn about all these different things that he was doing to, shoot Coast Guard, or to shoot bad guy boats, basically. And anyway, so that kind of thing, I don't know if that exists so much yet, an indoor range, right? Like you're going there, you're doing your thing, you're leaving. You might interact with the range people, and if you have an instructor or something and you're at a class, that's totally different. But anyway, because of that, I don't know if people, and I definitely say there's a failure in the culture for gun industry, because, well, I don't know if it was ever there. Maybe the magazines provided it before, and the shooting sports have some continue. What's the word? Continuity. Thank you. Right, because there's certain things that all the shooting sports need, like good triggers, right? Like good optics, maybe good grips. So there was stuff that the shooting sports brought together, or like things that they would share inevitably or inadvertently. But I don't know if we have that so much anymore, because we can all choose the flavor of content we want to see, and it's not like the old days where like you either saw the Ruger content or you saw the Smith and Wesson content, but they're the only two putting out content. And it was really like that with the magazine. So nowadays you can pick what you want, and if the person you pick, it's not, again, nobody's fault, I'm just saying it's a situation, such thing, but if the person you watch just doesn't know about or doesn't care about, let's say, revolvers. I was trying to say this in the other New York's chat, I think, like, you know, people ask me about a new pistol, and I'm like, I don't even pay attention to new pistols. Think about it like this. If you go into a gun shop and they have 70 bolt action rifles on the wall, do you know what the difference between any of them? Have you even looked at those 70? That's how I look at pistols on the shelf. Like, I don't care about pistols, so I look at them the same way I look at the bolt action rifles. Somebody likes them. I don't look at shotguns. Like, you know what I look at? AKs and like certain dumb revolvers that I collect. But like, you know what I mean? Like, I just only have so much room in my head, and I've devoted it to activism at this point. So yeah, I just overlook them. Not that I hate them. I don't care. Like, go love them. Like, I'm glad there's a whole industry for them. But the problem is, it's all like, what's new? What's the fanciest red dot? What's got the grip angle that ain't a Glock? Because it doesn't matter what the grip angle is, as long as it's not a Glock grip angle, right? Honestly. So, you know, it's whatever that is the new thing. And whoever marketed it better or had the best, you know, YouTuber like their shit or whatever. So, and again, I'm not bitching. I'm just saying that's how I think it is. And that because of that, no one is going, pick up grandpa's gun. Let's all pick up grandpa's gun and compare, see what we got. If everybody picked up grandpa's gun, what would happen? If everybody picked up, you know, grandma's purse gun, what kind of collection would we have? They might be doing that on Reddit or something, but that's just not part of our culture. And that's why we don't know about chopping the trigger guard off the front of a revolver, right? And like filling that gap between the trigger guard and the grip. People don't think about that because nobody carries a revolver. Nobody's hardly even shot a revolver, probably.
Actually, we had some. My guys are bringing some to the diversity shoots for that pool. They had that Taurus Executive. I think it's like 592. I don't know the numbers for Taurus. I don't have the Taurus decoder ring. But it has a swappable cylinder, and our guy Jim put the 9mm in it. This is a 38, and it has not stripper clips. Wow.
Speed. What do they call it?
Star.
Speed, not speed.
Moon clips. I'm sorry. Yeah, moon clips. So he has 9mm moon clips, 7-shot cylinder, and you load all 9 of them in, drop it in, bang, 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 bang. People have a great time. You're still shooting a revolver, flip it upside down, dump it. All of them are still connected, and just drop another one in. And that's a great Taurus 3-inch barreled with porting, really good sights. It has adjustable rear sight, so the gutter sight has a brass bar as the front sight, and the bar itself is like 1 inch long and solid brass. Instead of just a gold bead, it has that bar. So I enjoy shooting it. Decent trigger, smooth, and a lot of people go, "Wow, what a revolver?" Yeah, because we have new people. They're just stepping in, and most people, you know, as you know, 9mm is the popular handgun caliber. And when you listen to these newest generation of people that were raised on the AR-15 and the Glock 19, it's like, what else is there? And it's like a lot. You know, there's hammer-fired guns, there's single-action guns, there's things like 1911 that are in 45. Yes. Double-action single hammer-fired, like SIG P226s, like, you know, M9s and a whole Beretta line of things. It's like there are lots of guns out there, and it's really diverse. It's just that depends on what you came into this and who brought you in. Like my friends, I watched people grow over the last 13 years that I've been doing this, and people that are doing what I'm doing. And I watch, and I think that's one of the coolest things, watching my friends go from being a AR-15 Glock guy that introduces people to firearms, and then like he hung out with us and my crew, and my guys have diverse things from black powders to snub nose 38s to, you know, a plethora. And I watched my friend Alan just grow right along with it because he's a fan of firearms. So the guy that started off as an AR-15 Glock guy now has like, in his safe, he has like snub nose detector special, along with like a black powder, revolver from Civil War era, to HK MP5 suppressed. And it's like you can grow and have a lot of fun in this thing as a hobby. But you can also just go, yeah, all I'm interested in is having a handgun to carry, and I don't care about all this stuff. Cool. You don't have to. It's not required.
I'm hoping there's still the potential that people go out there and get into the non-desirable stuff and find an interest in it. I think a lot of it I follow pretty much all the gunsmith channels on Instagram. I don't use Instagram on the phone anymore, so I just scroll through it once in a while. So when I scroll through it, I have a lot to scroll through, and they don't all post, but a bunch of them will post, and I don't know if it's graduation time or something, but there's been a bunch of them posting. But that makes me think that a lot of these guns that I think exist may not, because there's not a lot of gunsmithing schools, but every year every student is doing something with at least a handful of guns that they're collecting at shops and either fixing them or like using them as, what do you call it, like practice, I guess, so the gun's coming out the other end not in great shape, but at least they learned something, but some of those guns they're going through that machine. But I don't know if that's enough to really cause a massive dent. Honestly, it'd be an interesting thing. I don't know if you'd ever be able to research it, but like how many go into a lake just like, dang it, you're hunting again, I'm throwing your gun in a lake, just that kind of stuff, or how many get chopped up by gunsmiths in their classes. I don't think there's anybody to judge that. You could probably ask all the schools how many they use, but I don't think you'd know the other one until we have a complete state where the robots are watching with eyeballs over every lake. That'll be a few years.
Yeah, it'll probably be some civilian application. Stare at a lake and have fun. Watch fish jump. Be able to track them. A fish tracker.
Well, they already kind of did that, where they would put game cameras that were like connected, like I think what they call them, webcams, I guess. Is that what they call them? Back in the day, where and then like you could sign in.
Trail cameras.
Earth. Well, they were better than that because they'd be permanent, but they'd have them like over like a bird's nest somewhere, or like from the top of some building. They must still have them, but back in the day when the internet was first new and it was first getting fast enough to be able to provide that, it was just the coolest thing, because somebody like, some building would put one on top of their building, or maybe one pointed north, one pointed south or something. You could log into it and watch this feed, and then some of them would let you decide, turn it left or right or up and down. And it's just like, not necessarily surveillance, because to be on top of a building, you're looking at weather mostly, maybe looking at some traffic or something at night. It might look interesting, but I'm just thinking those kind of webcams. They would have those at like zoos and stuff too, like watch the panda all day long or something. They should have a webcam pointed down at all the shops at the 9mm ammo to help shame the people who are buying 9mm ammo, so that they know.
Shame. Look at you over there with the 9mm ammo.
You're not going to do that in the shadows anymore. You're not going to do that behind a curtain. So you guys are talking about the 410 pump, I guess, for home defense. See, the thing is, if it was, I don't know, it's too long. Like, that's the problem with it. I don't mind the diameter. It's just that because it's so long, you can't put that enough into a shotgun. So what's that pump?
Well, I mean, it's
5.
It's 4? The same length. It's the same length. It's 2 3/4 or 3 inch. That's it. It just looks longer because it's still got things skinny.
Oh, okay. Well, but still, so you're gonna get like 5 in there.
Yeah, understand. 5 rounds of 410 going off at 2 o'clock in the morning when you broke into somebody's house turns into a starter pistol. Nobody's sticking around for that.
I hear it, but I'm just saying, compared to 20. I don't know. They just look.
Well, you cut down
straws compared to a 20. Looks kind of little.
Oh
Like
yeah.
a 20 doesn't look out of place. It looks kind of like a 12. It'd actually be hard to tell for most people. But a 410, there's a noticeable gap between the barrels, and that just bugs me. It looks so fragile.
Oh, you're 100% right. Yeah, let's talk about something else. So somebody decided to put out a video talking about how obsolete iron sights were. And, typical, internet, YouTube make something controversial by saying something ridiculous and allowing other people to argue it. Um, but there have been somebody else made a video like disputing that iron sights are obsolete. And pretty much it really came down to just because someone invented something new doesn't mean the old thing is no longer useful. It just means there's a new thing. I'm like, yeah, nobody's going, is that a GTO? Get rid of that garbage. Don't you know there are new cars now?
I guess, and it
It's a
has
60 stuff.
their frame of mind or something. So like, maybe they do look at that, like, those old cars, except for collectors, nobody's racing the new cars against the new cars, and nobody's building that way. They do new things or whatever, but things like the windows and the little things, like nobody's building a car with regular windows anymore without the fancy TV instead of a radio up front. So if they're thinking that is, or maybe video games, like each video game comes along, you can play the old video games, but you're only playing the new video games. That's the only one you care about. If that's what you're, the environment that you're used to, maybe that consumerism, I don't think that's capitalism as much as consumerism, right? Then why wouldn't it fit into your gun thoughts also?
Yeah, so I just look at it like they're just making content. Doesn't even have to make sense.
Oh no, that's frustrating. It's the right, and it's like, don't stop it, because why not? Like, you got to be able to get past that. We have to be able to get past the idea that somebody's just going to do what they want. But yeah, it's frustrating that basically a bunch of hot air, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe
it's
worse.
what's better, this caliber and this caliber and this. And it's like, oh, just um, because I've been thinking, doing what I do, introducing new people to firearms. Let's be real. Let's not go from, because a lot of what we watch, a lot of YouTube channels are sponsored by firearms companies, or want sponsorship by firearms companies, or want new guns from gun companies, right? But Tony, talking about myself in third person. But when I go at my event, my thing is not to like represent every gun company and try to push new stuff on the people. It's to introduce people to firearms and find out where they are in their journey, in their quest of firearms. And one of them is like, I just want one. I'm not really that into it, and I want to give you a good starter point for an AR-15. So you get into it, you start shooting that gun, and you're gonna watch videos when you start shooting it, and then you want to know and get this and this and this because it's an adult toy. But for me to give someone a really good starter, let's say I had the opportunity to do what Kevin did with his the Truth pistol, and hook up with a company and be able to like make that, or what Maj did with his, what was the name of Maj's rifle? I forget. Anyway,
If you wish, I
Maj
remember the
had his own
truth, but I
rifle.
don't remember. I remember Maj. Now that you're saying that, if you would have asked me, I would have said, "Who's got a gun?" I would have said, "Just Katie." But then once you said that,
Yeah,
I do remember.
Maj had his rifle. Uh, I think Coleon Noir did a little rifle for a second, and Argo J did his rifle because that was the party I went to. That was my first industry party. Was the release party for his Bravo Oscar. And I'm like, what would I do if I built a diversity shoot rifle, right? That gun to introduce someone to firearms as that first step. Well, it doesn't have to be cheap, but I would, because I don't believe that's a good spot to start. Like the brokest person out there. That's ridiculous because everybody doesn't start there. But I was like, it would be iron sighted. It would be ready to go out the box right now, right now. And if you want to put an optic on it, you could. And, with me, most people can work really well with a prism optic. But I'm like, yes, I would have iron sights on the firearm I sold, so it's out the door as is. I don't feel they're obsolete. I feel they're a really good place that, to me, a modern AR um, with iron sights on it is the equivalent of selling someone lever action or selling someone just a regular pump action shotgun or even a semi-auto shotgun, just slicked up, ready to go out the box, iron sights, boom, boom. You don't have to put another dime into it. So I don't feel they're obsolete whatsoever. A good place to start, and you can run your gun straight from the store. But I'm not going to argue with somebody. I might make a video of it just because, again, content. I don't try to sell guns, even though I have, gun and gear review podcast and we talk about the newest stuff. I'm like, don't let these people influence you to dump money that you don't have to dump into something. Or, man, I really have to upgrade my rifle because everyone's doing these kind of bills now. Fill in the blank about whatever thing is popular. For a long time, they were doing short barrel rifles, even doing short barrel pistols to make them look like the things from Blood Diamond in the movies in the 90s. I'm like, it's just fads. Don't fall for it. It's people that sell stuff and they want stuff to be sold. If you want to be a part of it, be a part of it, but it's not necessary whatsoever. If you bought a AR-15, a Colt SP1 in 1975, your gun is still relevant and it's not obsolete.
It's just not, the current model is all.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
it's not the current iteration.
I'm not going to go so far as like all guns are special because, you get a dead end caliber that they've just given up on, then you have to acknowledge that that's a thing, or just a caliber that they only make a fraction of each year or something. I found the name of Maj's gun. You can't imagine what the name of his gun is because you're going to remember it as soon as you know what it is. The solution.
Maj's gun. Yeah. Wow.
No wonder we couldn't figure it out. It was such a difficult one. But it was 2019, so I'm saying that was like a long time ago. It seems like.
So Coleon, did Coleon have one?
If he did, it would have been with he like HK. He might have played or no, he likes Sig too. So I don't know. I could see Sig doing it. But here nor there, they're all modern stuff. Nobody's.
I laugh at Coleon because it's like, I followed you, right, since he came out, since he was running and decided to when he was shooting 40 cal and his rifle was an AK. So I've known you, dude. So to watch someone who I know enjoys higher end firearms wax poetically over a Ruger Max, I'm like, God, just call it a commercial, man. Just call it a commercial. You're being paid to say these words. You are not carrying one of these guns. It is not in your holster. It is not your truck gun. I'm like, you're doing this sports show.
I'm not, I don't know where he's at, but, I'm definitely not at the kind of money to carry around my fanciest guns or anything because of everything you guys talked about on the podcast. They don't necessarily give that back to you. So, and even if they do, they don't take care of it at all. So that one that you're carrying, if it ever gets used, it should be perishable or disposable to whatever you want to think of it like, but it shouldn't be sentimental. For sure. And if it's valuable, like I say, you got it. That's just a matter of what you consider. If you can lose the $700, if you can lose $300, if you can lose $1,300, that's three different people, right? So, that's a thing. But I could see even if you can lose $1,300, carrying the $300 trade in that you've taken and know that it works. I personally, that's, I guess all mine are new, but no. Well, it depends on what I carry, I guess. But for the most part, most of my shit's new. But I could definitely, if I owned a police trade-in Glock or something, I wouldn't care. But the thing is, if I owned a police trade-in Glock, I would value that one as a collectible, so I wouldn't carry it. But if I had bought like one of the mill one cheap, like I'm saying, like, you know what I mean, then I would. But I don't get it. So I consider whatever I'm carrying to be not sentimental.
I'm carrying a police trade-in Glock and have been for the last 7 years.
Well, you mean yours doesn't say like, you know, it's not like the one from the instrumental, like Lost or New Orleans case. If I owned a Glock police trade-in, like that's the one I would want, like the one that saved that created the Commerce Act or whatever. Like, that would be a cool one, and I'd never keep that. But if I owned one that they didn't even put their name on it, and it just the only reason you'd even know it's a buyback is because of the serial number somehow. But otherwise, it's just some like run-of-the-mill Glock. That's exactly what I'm talking about. I would totally carry that as long as I've shot it a bunch of times and made sure the springs are good.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I buy what you want, use what you want. Be realistic about what you carry, though. You know, understand what happens in a real situation if something happens and you win the fight. Understand that, you'll probably never get that gun back. Understand that if you go too inexpensive or get a firearm that's not dependable, it makes no difference if you liked it or not. You weren't able to defend yourself with it. And if you want to spend your money on every new gun that comes out and throw every new thing that comes, understand whatever accessories, for the most part, every accessory had a time in the sun where everybody said it was the greatest thing, the future, and that's from the laser grips, right? That you had those on to when they replaced the recoil mechanism with the one that shot a laser out of the front. So I mean, it's like all of those had freaking their day in the sun. There's nothing that didn't, and then after a while you started using it, you go, you know what works? Iron sights. They're always on. They work every time. And we've watched how they mounted optics on pistols and rifles change over the decades that we've been following them. For to be the big ass thing on top. I mean, hell, everybody can go back and watch the first Terminator movie and see how a laser was mounted on that long slide. 45 hardballer. It was mounted on top, like a pistol mounted scope, but the laser was on top, and that was cutting edge at that time and the coolest stuff. And if you were really tactical, that's what you had. And, you know, that makes iron sights obsolete because you had that damn thing the size of a freaking, flashlight that takes 2 C batteries.
Now the grip, I guess you're talking about the laser grip, but like basically the idea of a laser in general has been around for a while. And I think the laser grip for revolvers was the pinnacle of like usefulness of them. I personally am the biggest like Crimson Trace. I would have those on all of mine if I could, knowing that they can break just like anything else. One of the reasons I don't like red dots is because I know that all my laser grips broke. And I was the dude buying the clamp-on laser that would go underneath your trigger guard or in front of your trigger guard, I guess, on my Ruger P85, in the 1980s. So nobody's going to tell me about like, you know what I mean? Like lasers. I've had lasers before y'all, or probably, well, for sure before you were buying guns. But, stupid gunshot lasers that cost me probably $40 or something back then, which is probably $100 today. But that was essentially cutting edge. There was no such thing as carry, so there was no contemplating putting that in a holster. Instead, you'd think of like, I'm going to have this next to my bed. And this way, if I have to get up in the middle of the night and I'm discombobulated because I'm still sleeping and bump in the night, I've got this laser to look at, right? I know where the gun's pointed because of the laser. And a million reasons why that's not so great. But back in the day, like you said, like nothing, there was nothing against that. It was just all brand new. This is your first glimpse of what the future is going to be. And yeah, I mean, like I say, there's 2020 hindsight. You can look at those things and say they're stupid and broken, or they were easy to break and they weren't accurate and this and that. But when you start talking about the laser grips on the revolvers, I'm a big fan of those. I really, really like them. like say with the caveat that anything electronic can break. But for the anybody who's in a situation, again, I don't know what people think of when they're getting robbed. Did you see? Maz have been posting some stuff I don't like,
Mm-hmm.
the actual shit. But that one where the guy's
Mm-hmm.
standing there watching, the guy walks all the way
Mm-hmm.
down the parking lot, and he just walks away.
Right in the
Like,
face, bro.
dude.
Yep.
So I'm just saying, like, there's sometimes people think that, it's going to be like, I don't know what they think, some kind of movie or some kind of shootout that they've seen where they think that's where my red dot is going to, really give me the advantage. But in reality, yeah, it's more like, oh, I'm in a gunfight. Oh my God, I'm in a gunfight. You know what I mean? I'm in a gunfight. Like, oh my God, what's going on? I better get my gun. And nobody trains like that. Very few people train like that. And even if you do, it's in some kind of an environment. So you're really never training. The only people that train like that are people that have lived through it. And there's like very, very, very few, like, you guys have just talked about that. There's like very few people like that. Anyway, so for those kind of situations, I could see it. But then just for waking up in the middle of the night and somebody's in your room, little old lady, I want her to have all the energy she can get. And if laser helps her, get out of the way. Let her have her laser. But that being said, those things work by gripping the gun. Like you grip the grip and the laser goes on. So there's no extra buttons. There's no extra nothing. You're gripping it and the laser is on. There's nobody has to worry about nothing. And the people that worry about flashlights, go to sleep. Like this is middle of the night. Somebody busts in. You're worried about what their laser's hitting it, blah, blah, blah. And whether or not it's aimed right, like who cares? As long as you're getting like baseball distance from that laser, it's doing its job. But that being said, I'm not saying like, here's what you have to have, little lady: revolver, laser, and then ammo. You know what I mean? Like I'm not prioritizing it or nothing. I don't want to discount them as all. I really like them. But like I say, also realizing I wouldn't depend on them. And most of the lasers out there are not that good. They're not as good as the Crimson Trace or whatever I don't know if Crimson Trace makes them anymore.
I know they made them for a long time. I get frustrated at people that have never trained, but they're going to tell other people what they should have and what works. And I'm like, oh, well, one of the ones was about using a flashlight and running a light. Oh, you're going to be blinded once you turn the light on. Have you ever turned the light on in the room? Like, just turn out your lights, pick up a flashlight. Did you go blind? You didn't blind yourself. This is something you can test. You don't have to have a firearm to do it. I'm like, stop. Well, the lumens get so high, you're blind. No, you won't. It's like, just turn off the friggin' lights in your room and turn on the effing flashlight, bro. It's like the willful ignorance some of the people display on something they can check out themselves. It's annoying in the firearm industry. We were sitting around at the NRA dinner, and oh no, this wasn't at the NRA dinner. This was Thursday night. After the diversity shoot, we're having cigars outside the range, and it was the frustration of guys that are gun guys that train people and take training, talking about the comment section in social media when people are giving unsolicited advice, and they don't have time behind triggers, they don't shoot a lot, they definitely have never been to an official training class, and it definitely hasn't taken anything outside of the minimum. If they had a training class, the minimum their state requires for a concealed carry permit. And it's like, could you stop, please? No, what you really need is a 9mm Glock, and that's it. You should put this on it because my favorite YouTuber says so. This week. Until another company cuts him a check to say something totally different next week. Because I really remember how everything was obsolete until companies started making lever actions cool again with accessories. And now all of a sudden, lever actions are the new thing. Or shotguns were obsolete and they kick too much and they have too low of a capacity until Beretta put out the 1301 and other companies started putting out Benelli clones that actually ran. Now everybody, I'm like, wow, you're fads. You run with fads like any other industry, but you want us to take you seriously at all times. Stop it. You take yourself too seriously.
I think we might be the fault too because we're the ones who are standing here watching. But I think a lot of it
Hmm.
is what's the word like uh, they're they're I'm going to say it this way. They're at the Costco, saying, "Hey, you want a meatball? Hey, you want to, try this juice or something? Like the samples of whatever it is on a Saturday
Hmm.
at the big box store." And if you're that shopper and you're going aisle to aisle, like, oh, I saw meatballs at the store, and I saw, things of juice, and I could get ice cream or something. Like it was great. There was so many different things at the store. But if we're standing there at one intersection watching some guy say, "Want a meatball? Do you want a meatball? Want a meatball?" And then next week it's, "Hey, you want a sausage? You want a sausage? You want a sausage?" Next week, "You want a chicken wing? Want a chicken wing?" We're like, that guy's a sellout. That guy only cares about selling. You know what I mean? Like, it's partially we're here and we're watching, and
Yeah.
the people that are not are like, I like meatballs because that guy at the store had some salty meatballs. I'm a big fan of meatballs, and the rest of their time they're all into meatballs. They don't know that there's chicken wings. They don't know that there's a pork rib. You know what I mean? They're all into them salty
Hmm.
meatballs because that's just what they happen to walk by that day. And that's frustrating as gun owners, is like, dang it, like that person doesn't know they could come back next week even and just get another thing and find out there's more to it, and then maybe decide that he might dig into it. But you know what I mean? Like, we got to realize that it's capitalism, and like I was saying, what's the other word? Consumerism, right? The consumerism part of it, and the companies,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
until they figure out, like the companies, I think are suckers in a lot of ways, because they could keep coming out with a new thing each month, or they could say, especially like Smith and Wesson and some of the companies that have been around a while, like they could lean into this and
Hmm.
go, what if you brought back your grandpa's Smith and Wesson? What can we do to it? Like we make grips for that
Hmm.
again. Like, hey, we're putting new sights on that. Send it into the factory, and we'll make it. Blah blah blah. We'll put a rail on it or something. For a minute there, some companies did that back when the rails got hot. People don't remember rails weren't a thing always. That rails had to get hot and then go through a little rail war, and then whatever standard
Hmm.
rail won. And now rails are just on all guns, and everybody's just like, oh yeah, you have an accessory rail. It's just on guns, like whatever. Dust covers we were in all fucking pistols back in the day, right? Like there used to be like a debate on whether or not you needed all that extra metal up front. Anyway, but I think, what I'm saying, I think it's partially us as hanging around and expecting too much out of the industry, or wishing the industry was a little different, when in reality,
Yeah.
the industry's just doing its thing. And if it didn't, if it was, it would be treading water if it wasn't swimming. So it's probably better that it's swimming. It's just frustrating that it's not all swimming in the direction we want, and we can all, move like a jet boat because we're all swimming in the same direction. Instead, we're all running around like a bunch of spazzes in the water, and it's just chaotic.
I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, part of it is like, bro, I'm trying to introduce. Okay, here it goes. I take pictures at the diversity shoots. My guys take pictures at diversity shoots. I have Rosie take it for Black Wire Media, and he puts it out. All of a sudden, some lady who's shooting a 12 gauge shotgun for the very first time. Actually, this is her second shot. The first time she did exactly what we said, and the second shot, she all of a sudden thinks, I want to move my face away from the firearm because, that recoil pushed me back. Not understanding when you move your face away from the firearm, you just give the 12 gauge a run and start to punch her in the face again. And you don't recoil with the gun. Your face is still, the gun recoils into your face. So I have someone take a picture, and the lady has the gun in her shoulder, and she has no cheek well. Oh, she doesn't know what she's doing. You guys called yourself a coach, and you allow somebody to do. It's the second shot this woman ever shot in her life.
Yeah.
and my guy who's in the port with her is seeing that at the same time you are. So he's not going to be able to stop her before she pulls that trigger, and she's going to get a little lesson. Nothing's going to happen because it's a 12 gauge with freaking, I mean, it has buckshot in it, but nobody's shooting a lightweight anything. No one's getting hurt at my events. And she learned a lesson. And I guess if we had taken a picture of her third shot, it would have been textbook because her face was on that stock. But I'm like, you're quick to point out bobbles and anything. And it's like, and I guess I'm sensitive because these are people I'm bringing in. These are photos of people I know. These are people I've had conversations with. And it's like, I don't
Well,
know you, guy, and you claim to, I support the work you do. Then why are you in the comment section trashing somebody?
kind of at a different angle. Whenever I first went to, let's see, I think this was the first Force on Force that I ever went to, and um, this was Jaeger, and his tactical response to this was in 2004, and um, so I went there to take the class and to record the class. So, or no,
Hmm.
I was recording the class, but I was a role player. So I felt like I was taking the class because as a role player in scenarios, um, you experience every student's reactions to everything, right? And depending on what kind of role player you are, you're either a participant in the action or you're just standing around being a nuisance or like, distraction, or you're in the way or whatever, like, just an
Hmm.
extra player in the game or whatever it is. So
Hmm.
either way, though, you're able to pay attention and you get to see, I guess, both, basically all the scenarios. And what's different is like, uh, role players are going to play it differently to a little lady and a young strapping person,
Hmm.
right? Who's like capable, and little old
Yep.
person who's not capable. They're going to play it different. So as a role player who's not integral to nothing, and I'm trying to recording it anyway, and I'm recording it, but not. Here's the thing, I'm describing too much of that. That was the situation. This is in 2004. So take that for what it's worth, like what the world was like in 2004 versus now, and then the training situation. So what Jaeger was doing with Force on Force was fairly unique. Most other trainers in 2004 were like, here's your NRA, or which NRA is like basic safety and like just some really basic stuff like you would teach a child. And then, or you're like your state level. And in 2004, that was just a handful of states. And some of them were like 16-hour curriculums. But again, very basic, like how to operate a gun, where you can carry a gun. And then tactics were, like, come on, please. No one's going to talk about tactics ever. So to talk about tactics was very rare. So that's why I was interested in exploring it and then sharing it with everybody. And this was in the days of you took pictures and you wrote, because the internet didn't have video yet. There was no video at all. And even if there was, it was GIFs. It was like, little slideshows of pictures. It wasn't video technology yet. Literally, it was that old, or that long ago. So I was going to record, but because he knew that the recording, unless I made it into a DVD and sold it, you know what I mean? Like the DVD, my recordings wouldn't go anywhere. I was using the recordings to get still pictures from, but he was adamant. And I believe Tactical Response stayed that way the whole time. It may still be like that they don't record their training because of the training
Hmm.
spec. And I've talked about this before. And I think this is sort of in sports. There's probably a line too with coaches, where if you watch yourself with some sports ball situation and you tripped or something, that could screw you up for the rest of your career, right? Because now you're like always going to worry about tripping, when in reality it was not even it was just a nothing, that if you just
Hmm.
never even think about it again, you'd have a thriving career. But what Jaeger didn't, and I'm talking for him because this is how many freaking years ago. This is literally like 21 years ago now. But from what I remembered, and the reason I'm bringing it up still is I never wanted to record my own stuff because of that. Like I agreed with that philosophy or that perspective on it, that like you are picky, and it's just our minds. Like we have to be. That's how we survive and not get eaten by bigger things, right? Or get punched in the face all the time.
Hmm.
We have to be able to scrutinize, and it's like our nature. So unless you're some kind of monk, like you're not going to be able to do that to other people, let alone yourself. Like you're going to scrutinize the shit out of yourself. And I didn't want to, because I'm not good. Like what the hell? Like I would be constantly like, oh, I'm not good at that. I'd rather just be like, keep doing it not well and keep doing it than worrying about trying to do it right once. And I think it all comes down to that. Like I think I'm assuming, again, talking for him, but I went with that. And like I said, I don't know how many instructors do that, because nowadays with the internet, it's kind of actually really, it would be a tough stance to take. Like, no, don't film your shit, because so many people are used to doing it. But for a long time, there was, I guess, that debate, like whether or not whether or not coaches and instructors should film classes to show or share with the students, because the technology when it first happened, just like red dots, like literally, we're talking about our awareness of the community that has to do with how we share each other's experiences in the community, right? So as we started to get telephones that could record video, or cameras that could record,
Mm-hmm.
the first things we had, and an internet that would allow us to share it. And then once you get to 2009, you have YouTube. So depending on how fast your internet is, now you have 2000, and after 2009, everyone's sharing all kinds of video. By 2015, YouTube was just as, it was probably more common than the national television stations, right? Like more people watch the internet than TV. And now we know.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I'm saying, like, back in the day, like, anyway, I guess what I'm getting at is that I'm of the philosophy that, like, I don't want to watch myself in training. I want to experience it. I don't mind watching other people, but I don't want to record them either. And then, like, go, what's the opposite of this is the airplane dudes when what is it called? Top Gun and shit. When they do their shit,
Mm-hmm.
and because they're dealing with multi-millions of dollars worth of shit, and they have to do like 100 different movements at every moment. So they'll sit there and do an hour and a half worth of flying and spend the entire rest of the day, if not like 2 days, probably scrutinizing what they did for that hour in the air. I can understand that, but I'm not Air Force. Like I'm like, do it, like, unless you hurt somebody or something. I guess you could say record it for like insurance purposes, but as far as for training, like, just keep doing it. Now I don't know. Like I say, I'm sure there's probably military and law enforcement and shit that would film like shoot houses and then watch everything, scrutinize, tell everybody like, oh, you didn't put your elbow out enough or whatever. But I think that's messing with people too much. It's like micromanaging action, if that's a thing.
Well, depends. All right, for me, I feel differently. I feel there's a purpose as long as it's constructive and you don't fall so deeply down it that you think there's a perfect way to do something. Like, you know what I mean? Because I understand what you're talking about. That
Yeah, like
people,
I missed
oh, I
the
need to
perfect
do this
run.
and that.
If I would have just done it then, I would have had the perfect run.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, no, I mean, there's ways you can look at it and go, you're more efficient if you do something this way. Like, you see how quicker you did it there? Not you're quicker by like 0.15 seconds. No, we're not talking about that. It's like, hey, you notice when you do this, notice you were pulling to the left, to the right. That's what you're doing. Oh, I didn't see I was doing that. Yeah, that's what I'm seeing. You know what I mean? When I'm talking to someone as a instructor, when I'm wearing that hat, it's like,
Well, I can
and to be able
definitely
to
see
show them,
filming as like a
yeah,
coach, watching it over and
yeah,
over, because that's your job, and then go tell the people or whatever. But I don't. But I'm not a coach. Like I'm doing what you're talking about. Like, I haven't really coached anybody except for on the internet. So
yeah,
I'm not saying I know what I think would work, but that would work for me. I haven't. A coach is somebody who's tried something on 13 different people and figured out that 7 things work, and they've started to figure out the combinations of shit that works on combinations of people. But you know what I mean? Like, a good coach knows that you adapt, right?
yeah. And also, I mean, and there's different languages that you speak. You don't talk to the 20-year-old kid who plays Call of Duty and, is thinking about joining the police force or the military the same way you talk to his grandmother doing her CCW class. It's just different. You use different terminologies because he's up on the terminology, or maybe she'll be up on the terminology. She's like, I don't know. When I'm shooting this, it just seems a lot different. When I throw the mag in and when I double tap and when I run a bill drill, it's like, goddamn, grandma, what? It's like, yeah, she might know about it and she got into it because I've been blessed to work with women who shoot competitively. And they introduce other women to firearms and they're using the correct terms and they know those terms. So all of a sudden, you're talking to a lady who only bought her first gun 6 months ago, but she got introduced to it with like, damn, what is Sandra's name? Sotomayor. Anyway, one of the ladies that came to our event, we just had her husband. Actually, he was the auctioneer at the Friends of the NRA event. That's why she popped in my head. She's a firearms trainer. She's what you call it with Girl in the Gun. She's like the Lehigh Valley representative for Girl in the Gun and a competitive shooter. So when she introduces someone to firearms, she's going to use the correct terminology. And if you hang out with her and her partner, who's also a competitive shooter and a female, you're going to have such a jump start on terminology, skill set, how you handle a gun, and your expectations that, yeah, your kid that plays, what do you call it, Call of Duty, like he knows the words, but he doesn't know what's behind it. And all of a sudden, your grandma's just smoking your ass at the range. Your
Well, and then
grandma's
I think
smoking
there's
your
a,
ass.
I don't think it's the same thing,
Go
but
ahead.
it's, I think maybe similar to when you are like, if it's part of your perception, your awareness, right? Like if you, but I guess what I was saying is if you watch yourself, you start to go inwards and tunnel vision on like, oh, what I need to do this
Oh,
perfect situation or whatever. But then another way of looking at it is you never know what you can do. So seeing what other people can do can be amazing, right? To like see it. So when you're talking about the scenario you just said there,
hmm
and a competent, accomplished person is saying anything in front of you, now you're like, oh, well, now I know what a level of achievement looks like, and now I can see the end of that line or the end of that road. Where if you say to
yeah.
somebody, you can be a professional, blah blah blah. Like I don't care if somebody's telling me that. Like unless I see that person telling, saying I am the professional. So
hmm
I think there's not that you have to,
Yeah.
but it's certainly like it's again it's a change in your reality, your perception of it. Like okay, this has already been done before. All I got to do is follow this path, and there is the obvious conclusion that person standing right there. So there's got to be that when that person's the one telling you follow this path, it's like, oh, okay, I guess there is an end to that path because there's that person telling me that.
Yeah. That's funny because, yeah. I mean, it's like, it's not like we rehearse these conversations. So when something pops in my head, it pops in my head. And I just thought about her and some of the ladies. And I also work with an organization called New Jersey Sharpshooters. And they have a lot of female instructors now, but they also have female members, New Jersey Sharpshooters. Hi, come out, be introduced to the firearm. Well, you have serious tactical Timmies that are there to help introduce people to firearms for the first time. And the women in those classes that go back, multiple times, they aren't that lady that bought the pink revolver and, has been to the range twice with her boyfriend who barely knows more than her, but she doesn't know that. Um, and you can see it with the firearms they carry and how they walk around. It's like, yeah, yeah, she has a CZ-75 or she has a Walther PP, what is it? PDP. She has a Walther PDPF with a red dot, and a flashlight, and a drop leg holster, and a belt. It's like, that is not your typical 45-year-old soccer mom. Excuse me, that's not what you expect from your typical 45-year-old soccer mom when she says she's going to the range. It's like, no, no, she's going to the range. She's got a drop leg holster. She got multiple, what you call this on her belt, mag holders on her belt. She got her favorite little T-shirt on with her tactical. What do you call those things? The tactical yoga pants that they wear now with pockets in them.
Oh yeah.
Like, like these ladies are on point in their conversations they're having. I'm loving it. I'm loving it because the conversations they're having in class are like, hey, what do you think about that? You're going to get some trigger work done, or I'm thinking about getting this stippled, or I'm sending this out to so and so company, get porting done to it. I'm like, this is awesome. This is yes. Because when it comes all down to it, remember, I'm a gun guy. I got into this because I just wanted to teach people to do this and become. I mean, I'm a gun guy. I like firearms, and I got into firearms because of this. I got into activism only based on the fact I wanted people to be safe and trained up and understand on the worst day of their life, they're going to have to possess some kind of skill and awareness. Like, you don't need to take a firearms training class to defend yourself with a firearm. But let's not act like it doesn't help if you've not, if you've been there before and thought about it before and understand what your skill set is. And you don't have, you're unconsciously competent with your firearm that you don't have to worry, how does this thing work when you're defending yourself?
Oh, you know what? I was going through the comments over here. Well, you've got this one.
Hmm.
You were saying, dude, I guess, just to the world. Imagine what your
Hmm.
signature AR-15 build would be. But way earlier, I had a question. I just remembered. I don't know if I started. No, I didn't. What it would say here. Are you able to use the same? Are you able to use and in the same gun 357 and
It was
38?
asking. Yeah, he was.
Some
He
about
was
some.
about asking about the 32. Yeah, he was talking about the 32 revolver, the 32
Oh,
cartridges.
right.
Yeah, if you have one that takes the 327 Magnum, you could use everything down the line.
Well,
Um,
the
if
ones
you
I
have one,
have different rims, so that's one of the ways you can tell. So there's rim, and then there's caseless or whatever. Wait, rimless. There's rimless, and there's
rimless. Yeah,
right, and like all the
yeah.
pistol calibers are like rimless usually, and then
Hmm.
the the rimmed calibers are all kind
Revolver.
of standard-ish nowadays, but they weren't back
Hmm.
then. So that's what I was going to say. It's like one of those things where it's like hard to tell them apart, is because it's literally getting down to like, is the rim this big or is the rim this big, or does the rim have a little step in it because they had to, patent each other or whatever, you know what I mean? Like make it a little bit different so they weren't patent infringing each other. So they would do little things. So anyway, so that's one of those things. So I wouldn't say 100%, but most of the time, yeah, they're all the same diameter.
Well,
But I'm just saying some of them will
yeah.
headspace funny or something.
Yeah, I'm assuming you mean if you bought something now, or you had your granddad's ammo from like 1930. Yeah,
Yeah,
uh, that revolver ammo will all work. But if you go back to your great grandfather's ammo from 1850, 1832, excuse me, 1865, yeah, maybe not.
yeah, and I'm talking
I
theoretically
had,
because one, you wouldn't have that ammo, and you wouldn't shoot it if you did because it probably wouldn't go off,
Mhm.
and it would just be ruining the value of it. Yeah, it's historical shit.
Yeah, yeah. So there's two things, yeah, two different things.
Um,
If you talk about
way
reality,
back,
get modern ammo, buy modern ammo.
the 32 H&R Magnum or whatever, H&R
Hmm.
Winchester, whatever it
Yep,
was called. I thought that was
H&R
kind of
Wagner.
cool.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you can still get it anymore. That just came out right before 380 got cool, and it failed. It failed pretty bad, or at least it went away because
Yeah.
380 won.
So there's still people out there because my mom's friend, who's the same age group as my mom, uh, her dad gave her a 32 long revolver because that's what she learned on as a little girl. And now, fast forward 50 years later, or excuse me, 60 years later, she still has her dad's revolver as her thing as a woman in her 70s. That's her defensive firearm is a 32 long revolver. And she wanted to know whether she could still get ammo for it. And I'm like, all right, you're gonna have to order that online for the most part, or go in the gun store and tell them to order it for you. It's like, but yeah, it's still out there. And you can shoot your Smith and Wesson with that freaking underlug, that hand ejector model Smith and Wesson 32 long. What am I
Yeah,
gonna
that's
tell
one
them?
of
No.
those things
Yeah.
where if you've got a number of gun shops, some gun shops will get stuff in used, and then the person selling their gun, they often sell the ammo with it. So occasionally they'll get
Hmm.
that kind of thing, like a big pile of ammo from somebody. And on a caliber like that, it's not like it sells in a minute. People are buying it maybe a box at a time usually. So it's possible to find it, but it'll be like, that rare instance, and it would be almost a temporary thing while it's in stock, but it's not something like you're saying that
Yep.
anybody builds really too much.
Yeah, because I actually looked it up for and found it, and of course it was on Midway USA, and it's pretty much $1.25 a round or something at that time. And yeah, they make runs of it. Nobody's running off. Nobody's producing 32 long all day, every day.
I think Ron's saying he likes it. Oh, I think you're probably talking about 32 H&R.
Hmm.
I was going to say, what did I? Oh, I took it off the screen. Dang it! I was going to ask you about way back in the show, way when we first started, almost. You were talking about meeting some of the people from the NRA board at the New
Hmm.
Jersey event, and I was wondering,
Hmm.
what those conversations were like. Did it get into anything meaty, or was it just very polite, like hello, goodbye? Not necessarily with
yeah,
you, but I
we had
mean, were
some.
they there to do
Yeah.
like, let's get into this, roll up our sleeves and work, or was it like, we're here to be polite and hello,
Okay.
bye, goodbye?
Okay, it was depending on who you're talking to, because understand that the people that were board members, we had one, two, three, four board members on the NRA board that are from New Jersey. Like
Right.
we know them.
And
I mean,
I just
hell, I was
assume
sitting
that
at the
people
table.
don't show up to a New Jersey event and like, you know what I'm saying? I'm guessing people in New Jersey are going to confront them, are going to ask them some questions.
They're gonna ask them questions and they're gonna have answers for them. And the people who from New Jersey understand the people that are New Jersey members of the board, NRA members of NRA board have already fought for the Second Amendment here in New Jersey. None of our people are like, ultra rich asshole that just bought their way onto the NRA board. Like every one of the representatives there not only have fought already, but if you have been in the New Jersey Second Amendment scene for over 5 years, you've met these people working for other organizations. So you have no problem walking up to them and going, "What the hell is going on?" And those were conversations we had. Now,
Good.
let me
Okay.
go ahead and put it out there. So, um, that's it. I'll go ahead and name names because it shouldn't be shy and it should be told, and you can feel confident. One of my friends, Teresa Einacker, is a new board member, and she said, "What's going on now is she's on the audit team for the NRA. So they have an internal audit team now for the NRA, and their job is to look at how that money's spent. They meet every month now. They're in their ass every month going, what is this dollar being spent on? Like, there is no more $25,000 suits. There is no more freaking traveling and writing stuff off and doing all kinds of silly shit. Like, every dime they spend on a monthly basis, they're going to have to answer to Teresa and her team, and they go there and check out every dollar. That is something that's never happened before. So that's what's going on now. Amanda Suffolk, now this is conversations I've had with her prior to this, talking about new media and talking to people like myself and other podcasters that are firearms podcasters. They're opening the floor up. I mean, I was on the floor of the NRA. They've never done that before. They had an entire section off to just podcasters. They didn't control us. They didn't tell us what to say. They didn't even tell us who to interview. Nothing. They were like, here's some people you can interview if you want to set it up. I had one person that they provided me with, one guy who put a book out and he was on the list, but the other 20 plus people I interviewed were all me. And the NRA didn't ask me crap. They came through and asked if we needed anything and how do we think it's going. So that was something the NRA never did. Because they have elections every year and they're 3-year terms, the NRA is turning over. It's only going to take 3 elections, i.e., 3 years, to replace a significant amount of the people that are on the NRA board with reformers. And we've changed over a significant number of them. So we had those conversations and they talked about how that's changing. And no punches were pulled. I mean, I'm not going to say other stuff, but I think that's well, I Oh, and I told the president of the NRA, the new president, that I tell people if they don't want to join the NRA, that's fine, as long as they join the Second Amendment organization. And I thought he was going to have a freaking conniption because I said that. No, no, they should join the NRA. I'm like, no, they don't. I'm not going to force people to join the NRA. NRA has to prove itself. And I don't think he expected someone to tell him that at that meeting in his face. But I did because I don't owe the NRA any loyalty. The NRA has to get my loyalty back. And I'm somebody that joined the NRA for the first time in like 1985 as a kid in high school. They wanted to participate in our air rifle team. That was a requirement. So, yes, the NRA is changing. If you want to ask Tony, should I do a lifetime membership of the NRA? If you want to, but I would do the 5-year commitment. It's $100 now if you want to join for 5 years. and that makes you a voting member, and that gets you to vote. I say do the $100, find out who the reformers are, and vote for them every freaking time. Campaign for them on your social media, and then look at what they do. They're making a difference right now, and they're trying to change the NRA. And I'm telling you, it takes those elections to get the reformers on, and many of them, in my mind, the requirement is show their work. What have they done for and in the Second Amendment advocacy arena? And if it's nothing, don't vote for them. I was actually talking to one, and their response was they hadn't really done anything in 2A advocacy. Well, I'd already put out that I think it should be a requirement that you have a history of work in Second Amendment advocacy before you think you can step up and be on. You deserve, in my opinion, to serve on the NRA board of directors, because the NRA is a 700-pound Second Amendment fighting gorilla in the room. It is, and I believe the NRA is needed to be that big behemoth that takes all the arrows and slings, because there's no reason for CNJFO in New Jersey to be on the national news and getting hit by, Chuck Schumer when he's talking about stuff. No, let the NRA weather that with a couple of million or more members, and let the smaller groups get in and be on the state level and hook and jab. Because the NRA can weather the storm, but we
Well, I
need
think what
people to
also
join the NRA.
I think a dynamic that
What's up?
happens when you're talking that strategy is when the NRA becomes the brunt, then they're not going to lose members when that happens. They're going to gain members because people are going to go,
Mm-hmm.
like the new people are like, hey, wait a minute, now I like guns, or now I'm don't like something else, and now I care about this. And the NRA is not the scapegoat. Where with another organization, they'd have to go, who is that? Like, are they on our side? I don't know what side they're on, so I don't know who they are. You know what I mean? So I could see that being actually a decent strategy. But that being said, I don't know if that can be a strategy only because of the nature of the NRA. It's not an org. I mean, it's an organization with a board of 75 members, which makes the board essentially ineffective and allowed the roles it will allow individuals to choose roles or become whatever roles that Wayne to become whatever role he needed to be a dick. But not just Wayne. Wayne was the figurehead who took all the money and was willing to, one, be like the guy that everybody on the left hates because he's NRA, but also the one all of us are going to hate because he's got the suits. But in reality, there's Marion Hammer is taking tons of money out of the NRA and is constantly suing them for more money out of them because she sees it as a giant. She's spent her whole life doing it, and this is her retirement, and you can't take her retirement away. She's planning on it. I mean, you could almost see that from her point of view, except she's not scrupulous. But and then those are just the two that I happen to know off the top of my head. Like, how many of them, you know what I mean? Like, there wasn't just one person. It wasn't like Wayne was so good at numbers that he was screwing a bunch of people, and they were all like, what happened to the money? Like, what? We thought it was all
No, bullcrap.
This is tons of people.
All right.
So as they fall or whatever, they're going to be replaced. Well, what I'm getting at is they're going to be replaced with people like Amanda and Teresa and stuff. So there's no possibility of the NRA ever doing anything except being better. So I'm going to say my theory is if you can afford to be a life member, go be a life member, because it's only going to go up like everything. Being a life member lets you vote or whatever. And then you can lord it over everybody. Like, oh, I was a life member since 2025 before they actually got good, again. But we know they're not going to get bad. Everybody would have to leave, and they're not gonna. And it's not going to happen.
Nope.
So it's only going to get better.
So yeah, I 100% believe it's only going to get better. I believe that you should really join because their shift is awesome. And to be in on it, they call it NRA 2.0 now. Like, even they know the shift is coming. So I was watching, what is this guy's name? Because he just became an NRA member too. I didn't know who he was when he was running. He's a freaking cop, gun writer from back in the day for a long time and law enforcement officer, and he was doing NRA from the, law enforcement, because NRA has a law enforcement segment. Many people don't know that, and they do law enforcement training. And he was one of those cops from back then, and he's also a gun writer. Come on, you douche canoe. Where is it? And he was talking about the NRA.
Tuller.
Who?
You're not talking about Dennis Tuller. That's like a person who's a cop.
No. Here he is. His name is Dick Fairburn. Dick Fairburn. And he has a YouTube channel called Lock and Load with Dick Fairburn. And he just put out a video a couple of days ago, 24 hours ago, talking about the NRA meeting he went to as on the board, and talking about the difference in the NRA when he went to the first meeting at the end of last year, and when he went to his last meeting a couple months ago. And he was like, the last one, they still had allies of LaPierre there. And this one, when the new people were just sworn in, he said, you watch the shift. You watch all those people who were with Wayne LaPierre, because Wayne LaPierre had a cabal. He had a whole bunch of people he set up because they first tried to overthrow and get the NRA to go in the correct direction in the 70s. And Wayne LaPierre was part of putting. You want to talk about that?
No, I'm just going to say I think he probably had quite a few times, because you figure like probably cops came along and said like, we want the NRA, and they would have got together and been like, no, we'll keep it. And then like maybe cartridge shooters said like, we want to take it over, and they'd be like, nah. Then hunters came over, and so I'm just thinking like they've probably done more than just the private. Probably like defended their the king of the hill for a while.
No, I'm talking about the way they have the NRA now and that money making thing now, and decided to get into politics, because that was the whole thing too. That was the whole fight. NRA was not political until late 60s. It's actually 70s. They didn't decide to really get into Second Amendment politics like it is.
We had the 1934, and everybody was like, all right, machine guns are evil, I guess. And then 1968 happened, and that's when they were like, oh, okay, wait a minute. It's starting to escalate here.
Wait a minute, mother effers.
Well, I think there was a factor was, and I don't know, it doesn't get talked about just because nobody's bothered to talk about it. I don't think it's not like it's hidden or anything, but you got all the people who were, I'm trying to put it all in perspective, born after World War II. They get grown up in public schools or whatever it was, thinking, and basically going into college thinking, communism isn't that bad, it just wasn't been done right, we can death from within or something. And then like they start to be elected and doing stuff, and that's when you start to see like, maybe we should take away all guns, and like that's a great idea. And they literally take the Nazi gun control thing and like erase Nazi at the top and write 1968 Gun Control Act on it. And then it's literally like chunks of it are verbatim from the Nazi thing, like literally verbatim.
Of course.
And so that's, like when that started to happen, I think that's when everybody, well, not everybody, but certain people were like, wait a minute, we have to do something. Like before it was like, some people don't like guns, some people like guns, but nobody cares. Some people like shovels, some people don't, who cares? But then it was like, hey, we should take guns away from everybody, right? Then it's like, oh, wait a minute, we need to stand up and say, no, that's not right. Like, no. And we go on and on about where that was the first wave of, and that's what I would call gun culture 2.0, but whatever, we have different opinions on that with Professor Imani or whoever it was that he got that from. But that was the first wave of like, because there was no wave in 1934. I don't know why, but there was no wave of like, hey, let's get rid of the NFA. Like that didn't even happen. Once the 1968 happened, that's when you see GOA, SAF, Gun Owners of California, and ILA all get created, which are our, legacy activism. And the way that the NRA will never be activist, because NRA is education, and the way that nonprofits work is you can't do everything. You can only do like a narrow thing. So since NRA is education, they had to make an NRA ILA to be activism or lobbying or whatever it's called, because they can't perform the same role. Like nonprofits can only do one thing or whatever. I don't know the details, but that's, part of it is the NRA, if it wants to be an activist, will always have to be a separate entity. It can be large and
The NRA, the
associated, but
NRA is a 501. The NRA is a 501c4.
which is like they can educate and they can do stuff, but they can't lobby. So they needed to lobby.
Yeah.
We need to lobby, or we think we need to lobby. And it gets into like, I mean, that's a whole nother thing. But the NRA is an organization, and for a long time, people forgot its organization and they thought it was Wayne and like whatever, like you say, a cabal, I guess, like whatever that group decided. And that's what I was kind of saying. It's like they were the king of the hill. And I bet you other organizations probably came along, but they had no momentum. They had no wave of popularity. So I'm sure that group who was making all the money and making all the weird decisions for NRA probably fought for that, not just against the anti-gunners, but against internal NRA struggles. I'm assuming, like, if you talk to people who are in the know, I'm guessing they said they got to be good at it because they probably had to defend their position quite a few times.
So I've told people this before, and actually, I directed people to it. Hell, was it Wednesday? I don't know. Anyway, if you want to find out what went on, one of the things you can get some inside scoop from is Gangster Capitalism on Spotify. It's a podcast. They did a 6-part series on the NRA and the crap that was going on. And that's a really good place to start, to at least give you some idea what was going on. And if you choose not to believe everything, which is fine, you're an adult, understand that some of it is based on something, and you should really check it out and see what they were talking about. It gives you some idea of what happened and why. And in this, I think, how long did this guy do this video that I watched today? It was a significant amount of time. He talked about it.
So this is a modern thing. Breakdown. This has just happened.
Oh no. Yeah. Which one? The breakdown of the guy who just went to his NRA meeting after being elected to the board.
Did you see like his last one or the last one? Like he is no longer there, or like just the last one?
No, the last one. The one that just happened, the NRA board meeting that just happened, was his first one as an elected board member. He was the 76th member. He was the one that got the 1 year. And he was like, this is my first one, as he was on committees before. He's gone to them as part of committees because he was with law enforcement training. But this was the first one he went to as a sitting board member. And he was like, the energy was different. It's a lot better. And he said, if he gets reelected, because he says, I'm 70 years old. He says, I'm happy to be on it. I'm proud to be on it. And I have some changes I want to make, and I feel it needs to grow. He said, but truthfully, if I get elected, that's a 3-year term. I'm done. He was like, I'll be 74 years old. It's time for me to step down and let someone else with more energy come along and do it. And I think he's right in a way if he doesn't want to be there that long and use that much, because they meet 3 times a year. I don't think people know that. The NRA board meets 3 times a year. Yeah, it's a half-an-hour video. So if you want to check it out, again, it's Locked and Loaded with Dick Fairburn. And I think it's an informative thing as somebody like me who knows some of the people that he knows and we're sitting beside. Like the 76 members. Why is everybody so old on the NRA board? Because you have to be able to take 3 weeks a year to go and be on this NRA board. And that's just showing up for the board meetings, not doing any of the other stuff. Most people are too busy doing other stuff. You have a family to raise and bills to pay, and you can't take 3 weeks off. Well, these guys, most of them are retired, and you have to be successful enough in business to be able to fly around the country, even though the NRA does fly them to the NRA meetings. Why do we have 76 members? Because you got over 40 different committees running things, from training to youth training to conservation to hunting to legislation. Like they said they got 40 different committees, and everybody's not going to be on every one of them. So that's why it's split up like that. But they said the new president of NRA is cutting down on the number of committees and trying to combine them. Because another reason you had 76 members is so they can split people up and stay in power. I mean, that was one of the things they did after that Knox coup.
I don't want to. I'd rather talk to Jeff and find out, because he would know. I don't want to look at it 2020 and say that's what they are engineered, because that gives them credit. I suspect that when at times when shooting sports have been massively popular, or gun sales have been massively popular. Think of like when Dirty Harry came out. All of a sudden, everybody's buying revolvers, and gun shops are probably getting a rise. Times like that, or maybe a competitive shooting thing becomes cool, and like kids are doing it in high school, and it's just like the rage. So now NRA swells in that area. Like I could see where that, like, like, oh, where you have youth competitive shooting, we need people for that. No one has that specialty. Add a board seat for it, and make a new committee, and then take 3 people. You know what I mean? Like I could see it swell. And then a bureaucrat, that's what they do. They love swell, because then they can take that and go, oh, okay, no, it'll never go away.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a fat cell. Like, oh, it'll never go away. It might deflate a little bit, but I've always got that for now. And so I think of it as probably the NRA just existed for a long time, not realizing it could be cancerous, right? That somebody could come from within and be disastrous to it. And then bureaucrats took it over. People who were greedy and wealthy grabbed, or not wealthy, well, fuck, wealthy has nothing to do with it. They became wealthy doing it, but they were greedy, and they saw an opportunity. Opportunists that were greedy, right? And
100%.
I don't think he sat down in 1992 and said, you know what I'm going to do, and then, because he would have come up with a better conclusion then, and then I'll go to jail and have all my money taken away, or whatever happened to him.
Well, no, I don't look at it that way. I look at it as opportunities arise because of different things. And yeah, you take it for granted. But having 76 board members, I mean, you can put together
Oh yeah.
a little group of people that can head it off. I mean, it's all involved. I don't say it's one big, Machiavellian plan, but it's like they gave them an opportunity and they're changing that. And I love it because, hey, we had this discussion before. It's like you could be the jerk off that hope the NRE ends, and that's just stupid and short sighted. Or you can be excited that it's improving and it has a way to actually come back and be better, more streamlined. I mean, right now, if this is the movie about the NRA and the NRA is a boxer, this is the training montage. All right, this is Rocky
this is
running
the
through the
comeback.
snow. Yeah, this is what's going on, and you can be a part of it. Tony, all of a sudden you're a cheerleader for the NRA. I'm excited because I know the mother efforts on it. I know the people that are there making the changes, and I'm having conversations with them about the changes that are being made. And a lot of the people that are listening to the negativity aren't a part of it. They don't know one person on the board. They have no idea. They're just repeating what their favorite freaking idiot on YouTube or on social media is saying with very little information. I'm talking about many people. Some people know the inside scoop. Understand who my friends are. Understand who you've seen pictures with me with. These people actually have had conversations, and some of the same people. So when I'm hanging out with Adam Crowd, when I'm hanging out with Tim Knight, when I'm hanging out with Amanda Suffolcool, Anthony Calandro, like these are Teresa Einacker, these are people who are on the board and have conversation with me about what's going on. And some of the stuff I won't say they said. You know what I mean? Because at that time it was like, oh my God, you can't talk about that, because they had so many people from the cabal in there sabotaging, backstabbing, and all the little corny ass politics that were involved. And now those people are gone, or they know they're on the way out. So they can't hold on to it. And they had that big spotlight of Letitia James and the lawsuit and everything else pointed on them. They can't get away with that bullcrap anymore. And again, every month they're being audited. Every month the NRA has somebody checking the books, and they didn't have that before. So it's changing. This is a training montage. This is the time to get on it, just so you can push it in people's face that, yeah, I joined once they started changing. Once the board started to reform, I got on board. And you can do it like a lifetime member. You can do all that crap. Oh, and they're stopping the other bull crap with getting calls all the time from the NRA to donate.
Yeah,
they're actively working on that with their new marketing team.
That predatory that predatory way of doing it was shady as fuck. I don't know how to say it, but that was definitely not winning anybody over.
No, nobody. It's like
there's organizations that still do it, and it works obviously because they're still doing it.
Yeah.
unless they're just on autopilot, but it's shady. I just was curious, so I typed it in here. So the robots are awesome, by the way. They tell us whatever we need to know. Wayne LaPierre resigned as CEO and vice president of NRA in January of 2024. And then that was right before a major civil corruption trial. It says he was later found liable for financial misconduct and mismanagement of the NRA funds. The key outcomes of those trials were he resigned, citing health issues. Financial misconduct turned into, in February 24, New York found him personally liable for misusing NRA funds to pay for a lavish lifestyle. And we all know that. Then he was ordered to pay damages, $5.4 million back to the NRA. And then $1 million he had already repaid. He was ordered to pay back another $4.3 million, which honestly we know is not a majority of his money or anything. And then banned from leadership for any affiliate of the NRA for 10 years, which I don't think anybody thinks he's ever coming back ever. And then he appealed in this year, he appealed the $4.3 million judgment. So basically he's trying to extend having to pay on that, right, by complaining about it. So in other words, he didn't get totally slapped, but they went through the motions of slapping him, and then we'll see, if he dies or does something else or leaves the country or does something to react. But he is essentially getting some consequence for the abuse that he did for a while. And he's only the one person, so I'd have to do a search on all the other people involved. But I suspect to some other level, they're all getting some consequences. I'm sure some of them got away, but that'll never get brought up. Like you say, if the person is looking for clicks or views, they know to just poke the wound, not to talk about the time it's going to take to heal, or the time it's going to take to do nothing and let it heal like the rest, and let it heal like people won't. That's not cool or fast or anything, so that won't get any attention. But who cares? That's just the nature of shit. Like, what do we expect the NRA to somehow get treated differently than everything else in the world? That, especially something that abused a bunch of people for all the time, like it bothered a bunch of people. Like it definitely was not. It was not the victim at all. I mean, the NRA was the victim of a few people, but the NRA is, quote unquote, the NRA is, it's going to take a while to earn back whatever the hell it has to earn back to everybody.
Yeah, and it should.
We'd be weird if we allowed it to just flip flop, right? Like, we'd be useless if it just flip flopped right back and everybody was like on board.
Yeah, no, the NRA should have to earn their freaking your trust back as a firearms owner and somebody who wants to work with Second Amendment advocacy. I think it's going in the right direction. I don't think it'll be able to be where it was because the changes they're making right now. And dude, this is I love my old partner, man, because he used to say the funniest thing. Remember, there was a nationwide crackdown on friggin' somebody got food poisoning at a Taco Bell in Plainfield, New Jersey. And every Taco Bell in the country shut down for like 3 days, and they cleaned them up and they did all kinds of things because of whatever happened. And the day they opened back up, my fat ass was in line at that Taco Bell when everybody was like, oh my God. And my partner was like, yeah, the best time to eat at a restaurant is right after they reopen, after they got closed down by the health department, because everything is spick and span. And that's the way I see the NRA right now. This is the time to join because every dollar is being scrutinized, every decision is being scrutinized, and it's on the come up.
That's great.
That's what I feel.
Yeah. And it's just the pride too, right? Like, because a lot of times, I mean, obviously there's more than one person involved in the steering the ship poorly, but that is at the, what's the word? Like, there's a lot of victims there because there's a lot of people that are there for this. Most of the people are there for the sports or the hunting or the law enforcement or this training, like the big divisions of the NRA, like, the big sectors of the NRA. That's what people are there for. And all the stuff at the top was, because it was such a huge infrastructure, they were able to mismanage a lot of it. But that was at the dismay of a lot of those people. It's like very few anybody was like, yeah, a $26,000 suit, awesome, because our range has everything we need here. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure anybody
Exactly.
along the way was like, man, I wish the mismanagement wasn't there, but I still value the NRA for XYZ. No, I'm sure the only people we hear from, at least the only people I ever hear from, are the people that like the $26,000 suit, and I hate that they are at our range, and somehow our range would exist without them, and somehow, you know what I mean, like without their grants, like this range would exist in the first place, or without their land or something, or without their arranging the land, or without them having facilitated dozens and hundreds of other ranges, that could satisfy all the game and fish departments, that this range should also exist. You know what I mean? Like, people won't acknowledge that type of contribution that they had. But rightfully so. Like, what the hell? You're massive ingrained part of the community. Like, unless you do a really good PR for it, people are going to take you for granted. And that's what they did for a lot of things. But anyway, I think a lot of those people who were that massive infrastructure of the NRA, are all feeling a sigh of relief, knowing that, like you're saying, the audits are making sure that the money's going where it's supposed to. But the thing is, there's not anywhere near the money there used to be. So it's not like rainfalls of money is going to go down to the different divisions of the NRA right now until people start coming back on board. Once they do, it'll be super cool to see what the NRA can do. I mean, obviously, whoever puts the NRA back together is going to be involved in, I'm going to say, reevaluating or reinterpreting or whatever you want to say, the training. And hopefully it will just be like, here you go, XYZ existing training thing. Hopefully it's more like, hey, everybody who does existing training and who wants to sit at the table and be part of this. And then, because I don't want it to be Taekwondo or karate or Kung Fu, right? I want it to be Kung Fu personally, but you know what I mean? Like, I'll take Jeet Kune Do. I want everybody to sit down at the table and come up with a mix of it all, even if that's not perfect, and go, since we're the giant, or maybe the ideal is to say, we're not going to do one thing anymore, and we'll do this range of shit. But whatever, I want the, you know what I'm saying, like that kind of stuff, the potential.
Understand 6 years from now, there's still going to be battles within the NRA of which direction they should go to and go with. But I think it'll be a smaller NRA. I'm thinking either they get rid of board seats or they're gonna do something. It's gonna be different and it's gonna be watched.
Smaller members also, and smaller money, or you mean just smaller infrastructure?
I think smaller board, smaller infrastructure, and they're hoping for a hell of a lot more members. They're going to have to get rid of some of the old school people and the way they think. All right. Because they're still way, and I'll go ahead and say this out loud, unabashedly, and with my full damn chest. There are way too many people still in the NRA that thinks they want to welcome people, but those people have to think just like them.
Yeah, you can welcome anybody who's willing to stand over here with this costume on, wearing this button, saluting this thing. Yeah. Or maybe range.
Yeah, there are way too many people still thinking like that. They gotta go.
Well, but that's you don't have to even change those people, because all you got to do is just change the organization to not cater to that mindset, and then
100%.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't think that's our battle. We don't have to change people.
No. When I say change, those people got to go. I mean, those people on the board that think like that got to go.
Oh yeah.
No, I don't care. Members can think and do whatever they want to, but people on the board that only want other people to think exactly like them to be on the NRA board.
I gotta think that was help. That was like sort of a barometer, right? Like, if you're an asshole, and you can deal with all this, then you're probably going to be corrupt also. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to at least deal with the corruption or ignore the corruption, or you'll be corrupt also. You'll be in on it. But you know what I mean? Like, maybe that was part of it.
I don't understand. I mean, I do understand it, because you had really rich people that were there, and they were able to do, like, they flew to the freaking Super Bowl in a helicopter, bro. Like, they had all kinds of like rich people perks going on. Trips to Africa to hunt, because if you donated, that's you. You got something going on, baby.
It says something about 9mm is so bad that they had to do an emergency alert.
A flash flood warning is in effect for this area until 4:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time.
Am I allowed to shut it off?
This is a dangerous and life-threatening situation. Do not attempt to
You
travel
can't even-
unless you are fleeing an area subject
I'm
to flooding
definitely
or under an
traveling.
evacuation
I'm
order.
traveling the fuck out of whatever. I hate when they tell me I can't travel. I immediately start traveling. I have a 1-ton van, and I know the streets I can drive wherever the hell I want. Come on. Now what? Every phone I own is going to do it. Sorry, I have a lot of phones. Oh, my watch.
That happens. I think the funniest thing that happened to my wife and I is we had one of these happen.
For this area until 4:30 p.m. Mountain Standard
I
Time.
can't turn the volumes
This
down.
is a dangerous and life-threatening
I think
situation.
it's happening on 2 at
Do
once
not
right now.
attempt to travel unless you are fleeing an area subject to flooding or under an evacuation order.
One, I'm not going to listen. No, another one's going to do it. What the hell? I only have
Man.
2 phones. What are they waited and do an order?
We're going to have a prayer group for you. You sound to be in real danger there, buddy.
I guess they said some kind of hurricane or something's happening over the Pacific and it's going to wail on us. But like we're going to get a month's worth of rain in a day. And that's a big deal because we got loose sand everywhere. So, the roads fast and stuff. So roads could get washed away. And for us, it's sand. So like everybody else in the country has the soil that was left after the glaciers came and smashed everything down for you. So the rain tends to soak in if you give it a minute. Not always. Obviously, you get floods all the time. But for us, it pretty much always just collects into our dry washes. And then we have to have these big-ass dry lakes or dry rivers everywhere so that when it rains, they turn into massive massive whitewater rivers. And it all flows down towards the Colorado River, I guess. But, out of town, basically. So when this kind of shit happens, when it's a lot of rain all at once, all that water eats the foundations and pillars and bridges fall, potentially. That's why they want us to not drive around and go across bridges and shit. And then the washes themselves, like the rain will come down way over there, miles away. You've all seen this in movies and shit. And you're just sitting there thinking you're in a dry creek or whatever. And then 2 seconds later, it's like a rushing whitewater, rapids. And when that does that, it's always full of like, sticks and logs and rocks sometimes, but trees and shit that were minding their business in the washes trying to grow.
Yeah, it's not like a water park. No, you're getting hit with debris and everything else. It's like
after a
just
while,
water.
like hours, like we've had it where it happens for like days and stuff. And then you can get in there with like a kayak or something. If you're not crazy, if you're too crazy, if you are crazy enough, you can get in there with a kayak because most of the debris has been washed through. But you'll still, you'll be floating around, and then like a tree will come out of nowhere that just recently got knocked down. But anyway, we just have that's only occasionally. So this must be a big deal because this doesn't happen twice a year to get this kind of a thing, if then even. I guess Chris is done driving.
Oh, really? Yeah, my wife and I were in a restaurant, and we got hit with one of these emergency things, and it was so everyone's phone in the restaurant went off, and this was prior to COVID, so the actual restaurant was full. Everyone's phone went off at scene, and
oh my gosh, that's
with that noise, and then it was they looked at it. Well, my wife and I were on Sprint, and I guess everybody else was on T-Mobile and Verizon. Our phones didn't go off. So everyone snatches their phones at the same time. And Robin and I, we pull our phone out and set it on the table and go, I wonder what happened with that. I don't know. Well, we continue eating. 3 minutes later, our phone goes off. And I'm like, I guess we know the tier you're on now. I was like, Sprint really doesn't care. And the people, I said it out loud, obviously, because I'm me. And people in the restaurant were laughing. I was like, yeah. Sprint's like, you still around?
Oh, yeah. Save the people from Sprint, too. Forgot about them.
Yeah, it was like, what? Nobody? You're not friends with anybody with AT&T or Verizon? You should be. They left 3 minutes ago. Oh, dude.
That is sad, though. Considering, the person sitting at home by themselves gets a 3-minute delay. Well, it's probably not it could be, I guess, a tornado or something could be 3 minutes would matter.
Yeah. No, it was a significant enough delay. My wife and I were like, well, that's damn interesting.
Well, I was
what are we
watching.
talking
I've been reading
about?
Substack, and just it's interesting because so many people. It's interesting to me because I've always written off reading as old people or something, but it turns out there's
Uh-huh.
actually a lot of people that read all the time. So Substack is sort of like YouTube, but for people that read articles, or it's kind of a mix between YouTube because it's more focused on the different writings, but it's kind of like X also. Like X, it has no rhyme or reason. X is just politics, and people will show a picture or a video or nothing. You know what I mean? Like there's not really no media focus on X. It can be used, but it's not like everybody's talking about videos. On YouTube, pretty much everybody's talking about videos. On Substack, people are talking about these blog posts mostly. And anyway, there was a blog post about what you were just saying. Anyway, without getting into me, that would definitely be taken into another tangent. But they would just, I guess I'll just summarize it. It amazed me how many people are out there reading all the time.
Speaking of drama online on X and whatnot, did you see the thing going on with Ava Fennell?
Drama? I knew that she was taking over the role of that representative in Colorado. That's the last I heard.
Yes.
She talked to GRPC about it.
Yeah, so Rocky Mountain gun owners attacked her, saying that she supposed to be pro 2A, but she had nothing to say about one of the bills that were put forth, and that it was some borderline what do you call it?
Slander?
Yeah.
I have to go check it out. I'm not a fan of Colorado organization there, and they have a different name every 5 minutes. So I don't know if it's the one I'm thinking of. I think they're the not parent, but like they paid all the money to the dudes who run the one you're talking about. I think. But it's been a while since I tried to map it all out. But there's a reason Colorado's getting kicked in the nuts. It's not just because of Denver. It's because the other side probably figured out, or else just happened that there's a quagmire there that the organization in that state is such an asshole that basically that nobody else wants to help that state. So now they're at the mercy of that jerk, and he's actually more in the money than he is changing anything. So that, in my mind, if they don't like her, that means she must be fucking great.
Yep. And that's what it's coming down to, because understand, these are people I know. I know Ava since the very first time she came on the scene, because the first podcast she was ever on, I was on as a guest. And then I was on the second podcast she was on. And then when she started her podcast, I was on as a guest on there. So I've known her for a significant amount of time, and I've watched her go from somebody that owns a firearms store and is a firearms instructor to becoming an advocate to being elected. So I've watched her come up, and then to see people attack her and try to say she's anti-gun, it is, one, ignorant. Here's a post from yesterday. Imagine being one of the biggest 2A advocates in the state and a air quote, pro 2A organization attempts to attack you. Great look, RMGO, Rocky Mountain Gun Owners. This should tell everyone exactly what their priorities are. Well, Rocky Mountain Gun Owners sent out a text. Howdy, this is Hannah from Rocky Mountain Gun Owners. Ava, this is their post. Ava Fennell, who falsely won the HD 14 vacancy a few weeks ago, cannot be trusted. Fennell received a glowing endorsement from known Rhino Senator Lisa Frizzle, who teamed up with radical leftists to sponsor SB 86, a California-style social media censorship bill that would have been weaponized by the state attorney general to purge pro-2A content from the internet. Despite being a 2A social media influencer, Ava is oddly quiet and refused to take a position against this awful legislation. Gun owners in HD 12 deserve better. Attorney General to purge pro 2A content from internet. Despite being a pro 2A social media influencer, Ava is quiet and refused to take a position. And it's another picture with Ava in the middle, Gavin Newsom on one side and the Rhino female on the other. Ava was like, one, I didn't have the position, and two, I just got engaged and I was on vacation and I didn't comment. Matter of fact, nobody asked her.
Yeah, what's she supposed to do? Call a press conference without being a politician to lay in on a position? That is, I don't know what the name of that is, but that's a move that you make when you're a manipulator. Like when you throw something out and you're like, I can't believe that they didn't fucking look at this over there. What happened? Can you believe what happened? And it's like, like, what the hell? Like, that's a weird tactic. And for sure, that organization is probably, well, who knows? We know that their goal is always just to make money or a nuisance.
Make money. And then to say she somehow got the position like she didn't earn it as an elected official. And they have their little peons and their little bought things. And it's like, what you're saying doesn't even make sense, since Ava is known for her YouTube content and her social media content. You're saying that she signed up to get rid of Pro 2A content. You know how dumb you sound?
Well, no, that's the thing. And again, that's us knowing the situation. We're standing there at the Costco, but instead of the guys going, hey, you want a meatball? He's saying, meatballs, cause tumors or something. And he's just saying some shit. And most people are going to go, what? And people who know what's up are like, well, that's wrong. But what are they going to do? Debate the guy saying it at the Costco? And those fuckers, that's what they do. That's how the exploiters that I always describe them as, people like them, they know exactly where they can just stand up, cause enough. And they're not trying to convince anybody. They don't care. Their goal is to make money. So if they can stand up and they have systems in place because they have enough funding in place to pay for to pay for placement, they can just say 300,000 times anything, and 10% of those people will go, hell yeah, I'm buying the t-shirt. And that was the goal. They paid $1,000 to say something in front of 300,000 people so that they'd sell $30,000 worth of t-shirts, memberships, fill in the blank, whatever it is they're selling, or a combination of all that. And it's just a freaking, it's no different than what anybody else has ever done throughout time that manipulates or exploits situations. And they see that situation, but the one thing that's getting to me the most frustrated is at GRPC. They were not there because, of course, they wouldn't show up to GRPC, but they were included in something. I forget what, but something that went through, they're included in, and that gives them a legitimacy that they don't deserve or have any right.
Oh, yeah, one lawsuit they were part of, yeah, they were part of a lawsuit.
But they're milking that. They are going to milk that for whatever they can get out of it. Yep. And it's a black eye. It's one of those things where it's hard to. None of our organizations are awesome. Like some of them are good, but none of them are perfect for sure. I mean, obviously, none of us are perfect. So there's none of them that are all that good. I mean, none of them that are all perfect. I shouldn't say they're all that good. They're all good, but not all of them are good. I'm talking about one that isn't good. But all the big ones, the good ones, ones we know, aren't perfect. But they definitely could do some things better. But at the same time, they're leaps and bounds ahead of just exploit. I don't suggest that any of them are just doing things to make money. Some people will. But when they associate with that organization, it's hard to keep defending them because I don't want to see that. If I see more of that, then I have to question it all, because what the fuck? I can almost see it with SAF because Adam just took over. And maybe he doesn't realize, or maybe the marketing person is new or something, or maybe they had to because of a lawsuit thing or something. But NRA's almost the same thing. Like if they just got rid of all these people and somebody doesn't know, and it's like, they have to get, you have to figure it out first. But like GOA, they've been around the block. Like what the hell are they even touching it? Like that doesn't make any sense. And honestly, SAF, same thing. Like I can't believe they're touching it.
Well, they're changing people out. And it's a little annoying. And it's like, well, okay, hold on, before I change from this. There are a lot of people, understand, Rocky Mountain, whatever the hell their name is, they were aiming at the voters in the district because they were supporting somebody else because obviously, again, money-grubbing assholes. when you're talking to a lady and you're saying things that don't even make sense. But you forget that she's friends with a lot of people in the 2A community. So their voice is more than the Rocky Mountain gun owners. Like they reach a lot more people, not only around the country, but in that area and in that district. So really, you should have shut up.
Well, that's why they have
Like,
their sub organization do it, so that they can take that one can take the black eye for being a bully to Ava who doesn't deserve it.
oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah. Well, anyway, there's
Because most people
scumbaggery.
don't pay attention to who owns who, right? We just look at the name brands. We don't pay attention to who's on the strings. So we go, oh, that's not fair. Shame on you. Okay, but really it's them, and she's standing up to them.
You're not paying attention to how many companies Procter and Gamble owns. It's just, it's like, yeah, Procter
You're
and
worried
Gamble
about
owns
Crest
that one,
toothpaste or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. You're just upset because Sonny D said this. Yeah, no, but that's just one company under this brand. So yeah, that's what's going on with these douche canoes, and they put it out. And
hopefully, it just becomes a catalyst for awareness on what's going on in Colorado. And
yep,
I don't think it. I think it's the way it is because no one's in Colorado nothing in Colorado has happened to like instigate scrutiny. Maybe that's why I say it. Maybe this can be the silver lining of this can be that it initiates some scrutiny to that organization who's doing it because but they're really slimy about it. They're really good at just saying stuff and disappearing for an amount of time and then coming back with whatever else, and they come back with like, it's like they're standing in the crowd of like a sports ball game and, like, go Orange team. And then, like, because they're selling orange merch or whatever. And then every once in a while they either, walk to the other side or, kind of walk to the middle and go blue team and, or maybe just sit down when the orange team is losing. And then when the orange team is winning, they get back up and run over and you yell orange team. They're very exploitive. So maybe they're, I know that's their strategy, right? Is just to come up for air or whatever, when they can. And in this case, it's probably like you're saying, something with some of these politicians or something. Like, hey, I don't know. I can't even imagine. I have no idea what the actual details are, but wash my back, we'll wash yours. I'll take on this lady. You can, we'll support you.
Yeah, because I look at it, I'm like, wait a minute, dude. I know her. It's not like I don't know her. I mean, it's not. We're not best buds. We're not buddies. But yes, we've had conversations through, text and things, DMs and stuff like that. So it's not as if she's an unknown. And I also know people that work with her in Colorado and have fought the fight in Colorado. And I'm like, what are you talking about? So, yeah, that's some of the inside baseball things that I think the average person doesn't know, that internal fights are going on in the Second Amendment community, and there are bitter bitches and backbiting happening all the time because they don't think about it. They know what happens at their job. They know what happens at the school board. They know what happens with the Boy Scouts. Like anything involving people, you're going to have personality conflicts. But in something like this, they're like, what? How is all this going on and you people are still dealing with pettiness when we're in this fight for our lives, according to the telemarketers that be calling me for the NRA?
That's a great way to summarize it too, because that was a very frustrating number of years to be going. Well, we're still kind of in it. I don't know if we're like it's worse when we're under attack, but when we're under attack and everybody's can't stop bickering or whatever, because now it's more like, I wish the resources would be devoted to this, or I think we'd win faster if we won over here, because we're basically winning everywhere, right? So it's like our fights are just like made up. Like we have to come up with shit to fight about. Like we should be winning over here faster than we're winning over there. No, we should be winning over here faster than we're winning over here. I don't want to make it act like we're all winning, but we are winning a lot. I would like to look at it like, hey, we're getting clobbered in, pick the state. There's about 3 or 4 of them right now that are really getting clobbered. And we have have 50 states. So what could happen if we kind of teamed up and said these 3 states are zoning up with this state, and sister states or something, like come up with some strategy, or maybe hunters are getting wailed on in this state, so all the hunters help here, and like CCW is getting attacked here, so all the CCWists, come over and help this state, and we start to explore what our influence is as a community. And when people start to see that we have a political influence that isn't just lobbyists, like individual single lobbyists that are corruptible, which obviously was a thing. Once we've come out of that healthier, and we now have a dynamic or like an organic kind of ability to affect change and resist tyranny based on really like adopting technology and being like cutting edge, able to communicate. Like that's what I would love to see our national level organizations doing, but I guess I can keep wishing in one hand and pooping in the other, or pissing in the other, as they say, see which fills up faster.
Yeah, you're gonna have a handful of poop. Spoiler alert. Now, and there's somebody that's fighting a fight in New Jersey, and again, same that somebody has to feel in Colorado, same way they have to feel in Hawaii. It's like you're looking at this and you're like, can you stop being an a-hole for a second? Because we really have a bigger fight, and you're just throwing away goodwill. Like there's nothing to be achieved by that. It's not as if she's anti-gun. You just put out a hit piece on someone and hope people are too freaking stupid to look one iota into it. Even your own release doesn't make sense. Like, why would the person who's an influencer, your words, an influencer try to get rid of her power base or the way she makes money or whatever she is? It makes no sense. She's not going to become a multimillionaire as a assemblywoman, at least not first term. So these are scumbags. They really annoy me.
And that would be another thing I would get behind if one of the organizations or all of them would champion our representatives. We have very few of them, and obviously we'd be better off if we had way more. So not just to acknowledge, but again, create some sort of, to whatever point is legal, right? But because I'm sure there's some kind of restrictions on it, but to create resources for these people who, like you're saying, are doing stuff. Nobody's getting rich doing this, and they're not doing it for fame. Like they're going to have some tiny amount of fame in our community for those of us who appreciate it, but for the most part, like they're kind of doing the work of angels or whatever they say. Like they're doing work for the sake of the greater good, not for any kind of individual gain out of it. And the thing is, even if they started with all these great intentions and started getting whatever, again, we're all watching them. So like we all went, okay, thanks, see ya, like go do whatever, and they can come out corrupt on the other side. Like it'll take about 5 minutes of being corrupt before we all go, oh, wait a minute, withdrawal of support. You know what I mean? It's like we're not all walking in lockstep and they can just buy it.
Yeah, I mean, we're not, and that's something, one, that's annoying a little bit. But it's like, I can't expect everyone to prioritize Second Amendment like I do, even other gun owners. You know what I mean? Because again, just because you're a firearms owner doesn't mean you're into firearms at all or even know anything about it. And you might prioritize healthcare, you might prioritize any other political issue. So when you're talking about it, or when you're talking about voting or who you're going to support, it might not be the pro 2A candidate because of that person's stance on something else. Is it annoying and frustrating? Yes, because I think, how you stand on the Second Amendment is your litmus test on other freedoms, because this is a civil right. But everybody doesn't think that way. And I can't expect them to. But the organizations, I agree with you on that one. The organization should be like, yeah, this is who we're supporting and this is why, and actually change it up and have a list of requirements, because I'm tired of listening to rhinos in New Jersey who said they have a friggin' NRA A+. And I'm like, there are pictures of this douche canoe with Mom's Demand action. I'm sorry, I didn't put a name to it. Congressman Smith, Chris Smith, excuse me, in New Jersey. Chris Smith is one of the guys that the NRA gave this good report card to, and he's anti-gun.
Crazy. Do they do it like comparatively? Like he's less anti-gun than that guy, so therefore we give him our rating.
Yeah, I don't know who that guy is that he's anti-gun.
But you know what I mean? It's not like it sounds like they
Yeah.
don't take like just a general, like it's like it sounds like they're giving them a rating compared to the opponent or something.
Yeah, no, I have no idea what they compare it to because he was in his little newsletter because, again, this was my congressperson. And, of course, you know I'm writing him, and he's on my list of people to contact. And there's pictures of him with the ladies from Mom's Demand wearing a damn red shirt. I'm like, can you please take him off the NRA? You know, that's an F. If you have a Mom's Demand T-shirt on and you're not wearing it ironically, that's an F.
Yeah, exactly. Like at the range, right, with an AR-15 in your shoulder.
Oh, I probably told it to you. No, the greatest one was Mas Ayub's girlfriend.
Yeah, Gail.
Gail, that's it. I'm like, Gail, we're at NRA in 2015, 2016, wherever it was in Atlanta, not this last one, but before that. And I'm in the green room with Gail, Sean from, I forgot it's the Sorted Calibers podcast now, but it was called something else before. He's there, Weird Beard, myself, and Aaron Paulette, all sitting at a table together in the media room. And Beth Alcazar walks in. And she was like, yeah, I just had to walk across the park and they have a crazy Mom's Demand protest out there, anti-NRA. And they have so few people that they're just giving T-shirts to the passerbys for photo ops.
Oh, nice.
And Gail was like, really? So she was like, hey, who wants to come with me and go out and actually get a T-shirt and take pictures with them? And that's what they did.
Yeah, that would be cool.
So
too.
there's a picture, and it's the equivalent of counting coup as a Native American, because there's a picture of Gail and all of those guys together around, what's that heifer's name? Shannon Watts.
Oh,
But you can see Shannon Watts' arms teamed around them because all of them are carrying. All of them are carrying. I mean, Weird Beard carries a 1911 in a shoulder holster.
Well,
But,
I'm sure that moms had people have bodyguards because they have to, even if they aren't concerned, they have to put on the show that they're concerned about gun owners.
oh, yeah.
So
Oh,
they're
definitely.
going to put guns around, and they're not going to consider it ironic. They're going to look at it as like, look I have to go to this resort because guns exist, and I have to have guns around me because of guns. You know what I mean? Like they win both ways on that. But anyway, yeah, that's interesting. Whenever I'm trying to think of the year now, you know, Gun Channels was pretty much going strong. I think it was with Haas still, because I think it was Haas there. But somebody was at when it was NRA was in, I think it was Tennessee. I can't remember because I didn't go to it. It might have been Knoxville or it might have been Indianapolis. It was somewhere back Midwest though. And same kind of thing. Like they always show up and they have very few people. So we all knew that was going to happen. And was it at the same place 2 years in a row at that time? I can't remember. It might have been the year. No, it couldn't have been that year. It had to be prior to 16. Anyway, whatever the year it was. The people from Gun Channels had gone out there and sort of not like they basically just paid attention to where they thought, you know, where they assumed they were going to be showing up, or maybe somebody went and saw the newsletter that said show up on these steps, but there was like a convention center, a river going next to it, or a creek or some kind of water feature like a creek, and then these stairs that you would do events on, that, you know, like looking at the creek and the convention center park or whatever. So they were going to get on these stairs and take the pictures, and the way that they forced the perspective or whatever it's called, it made it look like a lot more people there, and the stairs were like helping them. Like that helps if you look up at people standing on stairs. I guess it makes it look like the crowd is way bigger. And the people from Gun Channels were watching, but there was no opportunity. Nobody thought to go over there and stand there and, like you're saying, just to do it. But I think mean, I probably at the time I would have been like, yeah, that's cool. Let's get pictures and everything. But now in 2025, I really would think it would be cool to send like a group from Women for Gun Rights and I don't know, pick some people who are good at having those kind of conversations over there, to have some conversations and to say like, we're not trying to change minds, but to help us to understand each other, right? And have some real conversations. That would be awesome. And disarm them with awareness or with, I don't know. But anyway, I think that might be interesting. Or to be set up there, I don't want to say Kirk style because that brings too much implications to it, but to be set up there with like, here's a booth for this question, or here's a booth to talk to a police officer, here's a booth to talk to a mom, here's a booth to talk to a kid who's interested in growing up with a scholarship or something, or going to school with a scholarship, you know what I mean? But to show them, hey, there's a spectrum, and you can talk to those people on the spectrum, that sounds different, you know what I mean? Be prepared for them and say, hey, if you're going to protest, go for it. But if you want to talk to us before or after, we're here. That would be kind of cool.
That's why Diana actually came up with the teal shirts,
Right.
to differentiate between them and the moms.
And it works. It's freaking useful. Like often in testimony or when they bring on expert witnesses and stuff, and then the people that are in the room, in support of or whatever, it's a visual indicator, and it works awesome. Now, whether or not the other side acknowledges it ever, we don't acknowledge it. We get pissed when we see a lot of the red shirts, but we don't. I don't know of, maybe John Lott, but I don't know of anybody that sits around tallying, this event happened and this many red shirts showed up. So, definitely nobody pays attention to our side, but it is awesome that they're there to challenge or offset the what do you
narrative.
call it? The single narrative is sort of like even
the
worse,
visual
right?
narrative.
Yeah.
The visual narrative
that they've like owned for so long. Now there's like, at least there's two sides to this. You know what I mean? Before it was like there was unchallenged. Maybe that's what I'm trying to say, like an unchallenged narrative. Or at least now it's like, this is just one point of view, and there's another one. You don't have to agree with it, but you have to acknowledge. You can now at least understand that there's another side of it. These people are not speaking for everybody. But with that being said, I think we've solved it. After this, guns will be normalized. Most people, you can just open carry now. Nobody's going to care wherever you live. Everybody's just going to be satisfied with it. They might ask about your gun or the caliber or something. They're still going to scorn you if you're carrying 9mm. Nothing I can do about that. But yeah, pretty much all gun laws, all the bad ones are gone. NFA just got removed from our expert reasoning here. Some judges seen it and you're like, makes good sense. Let's get rid of it. They ripped it up like Nancy.
Gavin Newsom has actually been thrown out of the country permanently and sent into exile. He lives in an island
based on our logic.
The coast of freaking
You're welcome.
He lives in the island right off the coast of Somalia now, and that's just because of us, man. Thank you. Donate to Diversity Shoot at diversityshoot.com.
Yep,
You're
DJ
welcome.
got a link in here. I'll show you that link. But I do appreciate people that listen to the rants. I don't know. We didn't get to very many questions, but Woods threw out some questions, so thanks for that. One of these days, I'll actually go look at the website and see if I'm missing some legit, real questions. I apologize, really, that if you are using it like that, hopefully people, it's been there for whatever, 15 years. People realize at this point that, I dabble at it. I don't have a professional, part or, it's not like to do all that. I am trying to talk and look for DJ's thing at the same time. Finally found it. Nope.
Well, understand next week we will have people, because all the people that were employed by Gavin Newsom that didn't get exiled to Africa are all looking for jobs now. So we might have some working for us on the podcast. Just saying.
Especially if they're willing to work as interns for free.
Yeah, definitely for free.
There we go.
And we might actually have Letitia James doing community service for us here. She's got to catch it. She got indicted.
Somebody has to write all the apology letters that need to be written after this one.
Yeah, we're not letting her write because she doesn't know how to read. Obviously, when she said it was going to be a rental property, and she said she didn't see that part. We're not having her read anything or proofread anything.
Chris just threw $20 at us. Thank you. Appreciate that.
See, he appreciates us forcing Gavin Newsom out of the country. Thank you, Chris.
But people can jump. Well, I'm going to ask actually people to jump over to Give Send Go. The Solutionary Center is in its last month of fundraising. It's down to, last I looked, $43,000 something dollars.
Nice.
Out of 500,000. But Maj has given the expiration date of like Halloween or the end of the month or something, to where he's sick of trying to raise funds for that. He's going to, make it or break it type of thing. And I give him credit for that. At some point you have to draw a line. You don't want to have like an infinite, with a goal of $500,000. You don't want to have it like just be an infinite thing that goes on forever. So I totally understand that. That being said, I think that as much as I say it would be great if the national level organizations would fill in and do some of these things that they would be good at, we're not limited to them. Like we're not going up to a restaurant and whatever they've put on the menu is what our options are, period. Like we can do whatever we want. So as capitalists, voting with our money is definitely an option. We've done it lots and lots of times, either intentionally or we've been duped into it, or we've been done it by necessity. If we have to like defend against something or fight for something, if we just want something real bad, like, something that, we're willing to put money behind. So I think that as a community, a challenge like 500 grand for a building in Philadelphia, that's goal is to basically, build up the community, right? But with firearms as a major pillar in that, it's a multi-pillar type of strategy or philosophy, but guns are core. So I think that's, of the things that are out there on the buffet of things that we can support, I think that getting those 4 dudes out of jail is super critical. We could definitely be doing that as a group of people. Supporting the states that are getting their asses kicked right now would be amazing. But I think, something as simple as, in the grand scheme of things, $500,000 for a building is not that much. I looked it up on Google Maps to be able to do a thing on it the other day. And it's a big square, big rectangle building. Like it looks like, a typical, whatever you call, I don't know what the name of those kind of buildings are, but like your typical city type of building, brick building.
I thought it was it a National Guard armory?
Oh, it could have been. Like, it's definitely old. It's a sturdy building. Like, it's cool. Like, I can totally see why he'd want that one. It's not like, in other words, like some wooden building. It's like a big brick, cool looking building from back in the day. I have no idea what's going on in the neighborhood because I don't know shit about Philadelphia's neighborhoods or whatever. But when I look at the pictures from Google Map, it's like tons of different kinds of people walking around. So I'm guessing it's just city of Philadelphia. So anyway, I think that's just a cool thing. And we've had things happen, like things thrust upon us, like some organization or somebody thinks it's a great idea. Maybe not at the level of $500,000, maybe, because usually the money isn't on the table unless it's a crowdfunding thing, right? So we don't know how much money organizations have put behind things before. But we've had things kind of thrust upon us before, and some of them stuck and some of them have become part of us, and a lot of them didn't stick at all, like just fell apart and we just forgot about them. But anyway, I think it's just a good, I don't want to call it a challenge, just like a good accomplishment. I think, a good thing a feather to put in the cap. Like, it's great for Maj. It's awesome for Philadelphia because, come on, like that's one of those when people go, blah, 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 the United States would be so blah, blah, blah if there was only these 5 counties or whatever. And that really means 5 cities, right? And those 5 cities, one of them is Philadelphia. So, I mean, what the hell? Like, we need to do something in these cities. What are we going to wait for the government to do something? Like, nobody wants that. So what are we waiting for? Like the national level organizations to come up with something that Maj has already done for the last number of years? Like, no, they haven't already done it. So they haven't wanted to copy it. So they're not going to do it. And there's nobody else. There might be a church or somebody who's going to do it, but maybe a company. But right now we don't have anything. So instead of waiting for something like that, I just think it's cool that, we have this, I don't want to call it like a vector. We have this lever that we can pull by throwing a bunch of money on it. And just like anything, I can't tell you how many times I've raised funds for projects or been involved in other people raising funds for projects. nobody's asking anybody to hurt themselves financially. Like, trust me, I know what it's like to be like, here's $5 and that's it. Like, I'm not eating what I would like to eat tomorrow because I'm giving you $5. Like, I've been there like 2 years ago or whatever. Like, I know that. So that's the thing. If 1 million people offer $5, how much is that? Like, guess what? It's $5 million, even with all the taxes they take out. But that's $2.5 million for a project. And what kind of world would we live in when we, as capitalists who like guns, start to use that muscle, which isn't even a muscle? That's $5 once in a while. We could do that 20 times a month, and it would cost 1 million people $100, and we would fund 100 or groups to that level. It's crazy. It's really neat what we can do as capitalists. But unless somebody can see a way to make it worth their time, I guess nobody's really pushes that stuff. So like I say, Maj has them, and as much as it's frustrating to not have it happening all the time, we have this opportunity. So I'll just put that out there that we're talking about throwing some money down this week. This is a good time to throw some money down at that particular project, and
100%,
and support, like, get the word out on it, because it's really just a push at the end here for $46,000. It's like, I've seen an asshole millionaire ask for $10,000 in free cameras and make $50,000. An asshole millionaire who doesn't even need the money. So we can raise money on a whim whenever we fucking want. 50 grand is really not that much in the scheme of things. I'd like to see like an organized effort to do it. What's it called? A telethon or whatever it's called, like Jerry Lewis used to do, where like channels tag team and go live for like a couple of hours and tell their audiences about what Maj has got going on. And then like, I'm tagging the next company or the next channel, and then that channel goes live. Or like, I'm tagging the next 2 channels because it's like a popular time of night or something. You know what I mean? It'd be cool to see like a bunch of people being like, hey, we're all here to see the Solutionary Center happen. We're all going live, and like all super chats are going to it. Or like, we're recommending you go over to GiveSynco and make it happen or whatever. Because how long would that take? It would take like 3 days for everybody actually gave a shit, especially the people who are massive. I mean, obviously those people can sell T-shirts like that on a whim or whenever they need to buy a new car or something. Let's see it happen. I mean, it's not even a car, right? 40 grand is like not even a fancy car. It's like a truck.
So I've been around the entire time Maj has been around. I've worked with Maj almost from the beginning. When we first started speaking, I'm talking about 2016. So I've watched it grow. I watched it change. And one of the things that most people don't know is how the anti-gun side saw him as a threat, and they pretty much sent people to come ally with him that they were insiders. They were pretty much trying to sabotage what they were doing. And I'm talking, they sent famous people. They sent all kinds of people to try to ally with him that he ended up walking away from because something wasn't right. And
9mm tactics, kind of shit 9mm.
Oh, dude. Oh, definitely 100%. It was kind of shiftless 9mm tactics. And I got to see that. So it's pretty amazing to watch him have a building and doing what he's doing in Philly. But this is my friend. I mean, he supported me. He put word out. He helped increase the number of people that know me. Whenever I check in on a live, he straight up gives me a shout out right there while he's talking, and invites people to go and follow my channel and support the work we do. This is part of being an advocate. This is part of supporting others. A lot more people need to do it.
Like I say, it would be good exercise as a capitalist for us to figure out how to throw some money around. I would say on a whim, but like once we exercise that muscle, just like at working out, like once you got a muscle, now you figure out what you can do with it. So once you've built muscle, now you figure out if you like, whatever the sport is you might like or something. And then you can practice that sport. So we got to first get practice building the muscles. And we do some, like I say, fundraisers when they're and we've had lots of successful ones too, but not as like on a regular enough basis that I think we realize, well, crap, Massachusetts needs money. Money's easy. Like shit, we all have $5. Like, you know what I mean? Like some of us have 50. I'm sure some people have 500 laying around. But
Yeah, I mean, last
on
year
like
I
on the
helped.
regular, not just like, once, but like there's people that can throw $5 a month. There's people that can throw $50 a month, and then there's people that can throw 5,000 a month. Shit.
Yeah, I mean, last year I helped him set up the New Jersey. He did a Black Guns Matter event here in Union. I helped him set that up. So it's not like I've been sitting around going, "Yeah, good luck with that, buddy." It's like no, and it didn't take much. It took a phone call. It took me driving, through a couple hours of traffic to get there. And then I stayed at the event. I helped him record the event. We did a testimonial at the event. I did a live from the event, but it was like, this needs to be done. We need to stand this up. We need to assist each other. That's why I said what I said about Ava. That's why I support others. We can do it, man. We just have to let each other know we're each other's audience. This thing is bigger than television. When you count, YouTube and the people you follow and Instagram and all those numbers, television wish they had Nielsen wish they had the numbers for a TV show that some people have on their YouTube channel and this between their YouTube channel and their social media. We can get there. We can get there. We have to believe in ourselves more and actually participate. I just reposted something from Pink Pistols. People want to know how you can become an advocate by doing advocacy stuff, starting with just sharing a social media post. That's like one of the lowest bars that almost anyone can achieve, and still people aren't doing it. Come on. We can do this. All right, guys. I got something going on, but we're going to have to get off soon because I got stuff to do. And
Sorry, I
shout
just
out
had
to
a
one
phone
of
call that I'm about to get clobbered by. So they said solar panels are being ripped off like a couple of blocks
oh,
away.
dang.
So there must be a wall around. I'm gonna go look outside real quick. So I'm not gonna shut it down just yet. I'm gonna go look outside, but take it away for a second here. I'm gonna go look outside.
Yeah, no problem. So if we hear a whole bunch of sound effects, it sounds like the movie Twister. We know they got G, and I'll close out the podcast. I'll start up a GoFundMe for him. But yeah, it's kind of crazy. Weather events. Hey, you guys that are still listening, do me a favor. What would you think about? Because I was talking about the AR-15 build. It's just something that got stuck in my head. What would be like the ultimate AR for someone who's wanting to get their first one, like one and done? Get that gun, and what do you have on it out of the box? Would you put an optic on it? Would you get rid of the A2 grip and get a specific grip? Would you get a specific stock? Or would you go with something like that's solid, but not too expensive because people change them out all the time? Because I see that a lot when people go, oh, this thing comes with an A2 pistol grip. It's cheap. And I'm thinking, pistol grips are pretty personal and people change them and they don't cost a lot of money and they kind of change how the gun feels for some people. So why would I spend a bunch of money, or even as a company, if I was selling ARs, why would I dump a bunch of money into something like the furniture when they can be so easily changed out? It just seems weird to me because I watch people get all excited over what grip, and I'm like, the A2 grip works fine. Just like the A2 flash hider works fine. If I didn't live in Jersey and I'd have to change it out, I wouldn't change it out. But because I live here, I can't have a flash hider on a semi-automatic firearm that takes a detachable magazine. Yeah, it's a lot of stuff. It seems to me the less parts you have to add that aren't almost generic, it just adds to the price. You there, G?
Yeah. So I don't know. I think I know who these people are and where they're at, but they must be south of me anyway. So it looks fine to me. Like I can see the blue sky and kind of dark puffy clouds, but I'll see if we'll end it here and I'll go batten down the hatches, because it'd be silly of me not to. Like, they're definitely getting wailed on, not too far away from me, just blocks away from me, I guess. But it is weird out here. You can have rain on one side of the street, basically, and not so bad on the other side. But I'm not going to risk it. Sorry to interrupt. Whatever. Were you answering a specific question problem. Or just?
Well, I was asking about my signature bill, because it's been on my
mind. Oh, right.
Yeah. And I was like, does it really make a difference with something like, all right, Tony's signature bill would have an A2 pistol grip, because why add money to it that somebody changes out? But then people often go, oh, an A2 pistol grip? This is a cheap bill then. But I'm like, it's one of the things that people immediately replace on their firearm. Why would I give you something that's, let's make up a number, a $65 pistol grip, when you'll probably change it? But then you look at something like a Q, whatever that expensive Honey Badger, and it has like this high-end ass expensive pistol grip, and everybody goes, ooh, leave it right there. It's awesome. It's like, dude, it's just a fucking pistol grip. But it's like when you have a lower, because I watched that happen to one of the people I follow. It's a build. Somebody had an AR build, one they built themselves, but the lower they built it on was an Anderson. Well, the gun store that picked up the used gun priced it out as if it was an Anderson, not paying attention to, the not $2,500, but like $1,700 worth of barrel, bolt, and everything else, only because that lower said Anderson. Obviously, it's a lower end gun. It's like, no, it's not. That's just a mil spec lower that has that on there. It's like, this is a high end gun. But hey, whatever. I was just asking questions, but it falls into that thing that you talked about with Glock, when Glock was, an $80 gun, and they were talking about selling them in America for like $200 or $250 or something like that. If you sell a gun at that price, they're going to see it as cheap. You double the price, all of a sudden it's a better quality gun just based on the price range it's in. To like the consumer that looks at it doesn't know.
See, that was. I hear you. That was back in the day, because nowadays I think there's also something to, if you build a gun for $100, you're going to get a certain, it's just like anything. You build a $100 version of a tool, you're going to get the $100 tool user. If you build the $500 version of a tool, you're going to get a more scrutinizing user. So a professional user, right? Handyman buys the $100 tool. The amateur hobbyist buys the $100 tool, like looks up to the $500 tool. The professional buys the $500 tool, looks up to the $5,000 tool, right? Like that's just that is going to happen in guns too. And whatever. We're getting off in tangents. I'm going to go batten down the hatches. Thanks everybody for joining us. And did you already talk about the next diversity shoot?
Next diversity shoot's in November, so we got an entire month. We got pretty much.
You got to take time off for Halloween.
Well, no, it's not time off for Halloween. We're supposed to be working with somebody else, and it kind of fell through. With that range. So November 6th is the next diversity shoot at Recoil Range. Tickets are on sale right now, so you can go get your tickets to November 6th diversity shoot at Recoil Range in Monroe, New Jersey. Can't wait to see you there. The rest of the year schedule is going to go up this weekend. So all the tickets are going to be out there for you to join. And if you want to donate, I really appreciate it, because right now what your donations would do, if it doesn't hurt you, is me stacking up money and funds to buy stuff during Black Friday. Take advantage of Black Friday sales so we can get either swag or stuff for the diversity shoots. So your donation definitely can help. Appreciate it.
Right on. Thanks, dude. And thanks for joining us for so long. Thanks, everybody out there, for joining us and for the questions. We'll be back next week, I think. Wait, next week is... What the heck was next week?
That's a holiday or something?
No, I was thinking... Oh, wait. No, one of these weekends I'm going camping. I don't think it's next weekend.
Oh,
That's what I
okay.
was gonna get at. I think it's not next weekend. I'll know better, and I'll tell Tony. You'll all find out, but I don't think it's next weekend. One of these weekends I am going camping though. But anyway, thanks everybody for joining in. We'll see you next time.